significantly to point one.
Okay, we will call the meeting to order. We can have a roll call.
Fuller. Monmouth.
Here.
Littman.
Here.
Ashkenazi.
Here.
Chimura.
Here.
Dinero. Moneski.
Here.
Ugielli.
Here.
Caramanica. Chairwoman Veal.
Here. Okay, we can stand for the salute to the flag. To the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all. And for the record, we do also have Mr. Fuller present.
Mr. Fuller has to be sworn in.
Okay.
Do we have his oath, class? Ready to swear?
You ready for it?
Ready for me to swear? Anybody else? There's nobody else now. Okay. Just, if you can read it, do you solemnly swear?
I, John Fuller, do solemnly swear that I will support the Constitution of the United States, the Constitution of the State of New Jersey, that I will bear true faith and allegiance to the same, and to the governments established in the United States and in this state under the authority of the people. I do further solemnly swear that I will faithfully, impartially, and justly perform all the duties of the position of member of the Zoning Board of Adjustment of the Township of Ocean, according to the best of my ability, so help me God.
Congratulations for another term.
Congratulations.
Just sign and pass it over. I'll notarize it.
Okay. The notice requirements of the open public meeting law for this meeting have been satisfied. A copy of the notice having been sent to the Asbury Park Press and the Coaster and filed in the office of the Township Clerk. There is an emergency exit through the courtroom doors and 2 exits at the rear of the room. There will be no smoking, no new cases will be started after 9:00 p.m., and no new testimony taken after 9:30 p.m. In addition, the applicant will be limited to 45 minutes of testimony. All meetings will be video and audio taped and shown on the Township of Ocean's Community Cable Channel, Channel 22 on Verizon Fios, and Channel 77 on Cablevision. All cell phones must be turned off, or if you need to make a call, please make your call outside the room. We have 2 minutes for adoption. We'll do March 21st, 2024 first. I will move to accept the minutes. Is there a second? And
Go back and see.
Oh, you could do all in favor.
oh, okay. All in favor? Aye.
Aye.
Any opposed? Okay. For the June 19th, 2024 minutes, I'll move for adoption. Is there a second?
Second.
All in favor? Aye. Any opposed? Okay, minutes are adopted. Mr. Steinberg, I will turn it over to you.
Yeah, there's a request for a reaffirmation of a subdivision, Deal Road, Poplar Place, and Route 18. Basically, we approved the Hillel School expansion. As a part of that process and part of the project is that they are building a new fire station in exchange for the property that the existing fire station is on. This required changing of lot lines. It's considered a minor subdivision because it only creates two new lots. And the municipal land use law indicates that you must perfect a minor subdivision within 190 days. However, there are some exceptions in the municipal land use law, one of which is agency approvals and other things. If they are pending and you can't do it, you're permitted to an extension. So if the board would so desire, they can move to extend the minor subdivision for an additional 190 days.
Okay, I'll move to extend for the additional. Okay, and all in favor?
Aye.
Any opposed? Okay. We have to adopt the resolution for the 2024-2025 zoning board meeting dates. I will move. Is there a second?
Second.
All in favor? Aye. Any opposed? Okay, and to accept our board professional resolutions, I will move to accept. Is there a second?
I'll second.
All in favor?
Aye.
Any opposed? Okay. And we have the following resolutions for memorialization. Peter Lauria, 20 Barbara Lane, Oakhurst, 07755, Block 26.01, Lot 7. Jared Gopin, 71 Dwight Drive, Ocean, 07712, Block 40, Lot 107. Solomon and Sarah Chehabar, 221 Elmwood Road, Oakhurst, 07755, Block 25.31, Lot 11. And I will move. Is there, for a positive resolution, is there a second?
Positive resolution.
All in favor? Aye. Any opposed? Oh, forgot about, we'll do roll call going forward. Okay. For old business, IAAT Services, LLC, 1700 Highway 35, Oakhurst, 07755, Block 34, Lot 12, Zone C2, as well as IAAT Services, LLC, 1418 Highway 35, Oakhurst, 07755, Block 182, Lot 7, Zone 0-140. And IAAT Services, LLC, 922 Highway 35, Ocean, 07712, Block 141, Lot 12, Zone C5, are all going to be heard on September 18th at a special meeting, 7 o'clock p.m., and no further notice is needed. So if you are here for those cases, they will not be heard this evening. They will be heard at the special meeting September 18th at 7 o'clock p.m. No further notice. And so if you are here for those cases, again, they will not be heard. So unless you just would like to stay and join us, you are free to leave. Okay, our first, also Abraham and Margaret Moseri, 491 South Edgemere Drive, West Allenhurst, 07711, Block 76, Lot 2, Zone R5, will be moved to the regular meeting September 19th, 2024, 7 o'clock p.m. No further notice is needed for that. And I believe that covers all cases moved. Okay, our first case, Matthew Bilboa, 1202 Logan Road, Ocean, 07712, Block 140, Lot 64, Zone R6. The applicant is proposing to erect the second story of an existing dwelling. Minimum front yard setback 30 feet required, 25.1 feet exists, and 25.1 feet is proposed. Mr. Bilboa? I'm sorry?
Bilbao.
Bilbao. Sorry about that. If you can come and have a seat. And if you can raise your right hand, do you affirm to tell the truth, the whole truth?
Yes.
Okay, and if you can just state your name and your address again for the
My
record.
name is Matthew Bilbao. My address is 1202 Logan Road.
Okay, and I will turn it over to Mr. Higgins and then Mr. Matlack.
Yeah, basically, this is a lot that, first of all, it's under the minimum lot depth requirement by about 15 feet. The existing house is set back 25.1 feet and 30 feet's required, and he's simply putting a second story on a one-story house, extending that 25.1 foot non-conforming setback vertically, so it's a technical variance. He's not changing anything. There's no increase in impervious lot coverage, and there's adequate parking on site to accommodate the number of bedrooms. So I just don't have any problem with it.
Okay, Mr. Matlack?
There are no site improvements, so I don't have any engineering issues.
Okay, Mr. Bilbao, if you can just tell us about your request and why you're requesting.
So I'm just looking to, renovate up. So we're adding, it's a Cape style house, and we're just expanding, what is like the attic second floor to an actual second floor. It doesn't, we're not expanding forwards or backwards, so we're not, encroaching on any of those issues. We're just doing a, a regular vertical addition. There's plenty of houses on Logan Road that are 2 stories, that have, the same distance from the road as my house. You know, we're just trying to make our house large enough that we can stay in it. You know, we just had a baby, and we're trying to you know, stay in the house. Yeah, that's the request.
Okay. Any questions from the board?
What are you adding upstairs?
So we're adding 2 bathrooms and 3 bedrooms.
What was going to remain on the first floor? You changing that?
So we're removing 1 bedroom on the first floor, and we're expanding the living room, and then
Okay,
we're
then.
rotating the stairs.
Okay, so you're removing 1 bedroom on first and expanding the living room. Okay.
Yep.
And the outside of the house, the finish?
We're just going to do the same siding,
And a new roof, I guess?
new roof, yes.
New roof. So the sidings will match?
Yes.
Close, but-
Yeah.
okay.
If they, they'll match.
Okay, any other
Get a
questions?
match or all new?
It's gonna match is what we're doing, but if we can't get a match, then we'll do all new. Like, we're not gonna let the house not look good. Like, that's not an option. My wife won't let it happen.
Okay, any other questions from board members? Okay, any questions or comments from the public? Okay, motion to close the public hearing.
Motion to close the public hearing. Second.
Okay, all in favor?
Aye.
Aye. Any opposed? Okay, is there a motion?
A motion for a positive resolution?
A second.
And if we can get a roll call.
Fuller,
Yes.
Palumbo. Yes. Goodman,
Yes.
Benazzi,
Yes.
Mora,
Yes.
Meneski,
Yes.
Michele,
Yes.
Chairwoman Deal.
Yes. Okay, congratulations and best of luck.
Thank you.
Congratulations on the baby.
Yes. Next case, Michael John Hancock, 1312 Franklin Parkway, Block 104, Lot 19, Zone R6. Applicant seeks approval to construct a 1-story rear addition along with a second floor addition. Minimum front yard setback, 30 feet required, 25.1 feet exists, 22.6 feet front porch overhand, and 23.1 feet second floor addition proposed. And if you can please raise your right hand, and do you affirm to tell the truth, the whole truth?
Yes.
And if you don't mind stating your first and last name.
Michael John Hancock, 1312 Franklin Parkway.
Okay, and,
Monica Hancock, 1312 Franklin Parkway.
okay. And I'll turn it over to Mr. Higgins and Mr. Matt.
Yeah, the applicant's proposing a small first floor addition and a second floor addition to the existing residence. The building is set back 25.1 feet, and 30 feet is required. When they do the addition, the plan proposes a front yard setback of 22.6 feet to the proposed overhang of the existing front porch. So they're going to put an overhang over an existing porch, and 23.1 feet to the overhang of the second floor addition. I really don't have any concerns with it. I think because the second story addition is overhanging, I think we need some testimony as to why they're doing that so that the board can determine whether or not the benefits of doing that outweigh any detriments. But other than that, I don't have a problem.
Okay, Mr. Matlack?
And I don't have any engineering concerns.
Okay. Mr. and Ms. Hancock, if you can just please address, well, tell us about your request, but also address Mr. Higgins' question about why the need for that.
Pretty similar to the gentleman before us. We're trying to make room for our family. 3 bedrooms upstairs, and then we'll be extending what's now the screen porch. We'll be extending the kitchen area and living area. As far as the overhang, I think the idea is it would just free up a little more space upstairs for the 3 bedrooms for the 3 kids.
Aesthetically, do you think it'll help the appearance of the
Yeah,
house?
I think so,
Rather than have
and-
a straight wall?
Sure, yeah, and it'll match similar jobs that have been done on the block so far.
And just so you understand, there are certain legal proofs the board has to
Yeah,
consider for that type of thing, so they just need some testimony on the record.
Sure.
And any other testimony about your request?
if you have any questions, I'm happy to answer. But yeah.
Okay. Questions from the board?
The outside new roof
Yes.
Yeah, new roof.
and with that siding.
Most
new.
likely all new siding. Probably gonna stick with the same.
All new or
color.
match, right?
Yeah.
Okay.
Any other questions from board members? Okay, questions or comments from the public? Motion to close the public hearing.
I'll make a motion to close the public hearing.
All in favor?
Aye.
Aye. Any opposed? Okay, do we have a positive resolution?
I'll make a motion for positive resolution.
I'll second.
Okay, roll call, please.
Fuller,
Yes.
Paloma,
Yes.
Whitman,
Yes.
Martinelli,
Yes.
Kimura,
Yes.
Vineski,
Yes.
Vigielli,
Yes.
and Chairwoman Neal.
Yes. Okay, congratulations, best of luck.
Thanks a lot. Have a good evening.
Okay, next case, Samantha Martinez, 500 Bound Road, Ocean, 07712, block 39.04, lot 7.1, zone R2. Applicant proposes to construct a retaining wall and a 6-foot in height fence on top of the proposed wall, also proposing a 2.5-foot change in grade. The single or combined height of any wall or fence shall not exceed 6 feet in the required side or rear yards. 6.2 feet to 9.5 feet is proposed. And the attorney is Kevin Asadi. Okay.
Very good. Good evening, Kevin Asadi of Zager Fuchs on behalf of the applicant. Seated to my right is Mr. Mike Intilli of Crest Engineering, and he'll be our only witness this evening.
You said Mr. Antilli,
Intilli, I-N-T-I-L-E.
and that's the, I'm sorry, I missed it.
He's the gentleman sitting to my right,
The engineer, you said?
the engineer for the
Engineer.
project. That's correct.
Okay, and Mr. Antilli, if you can raise your right hand, do you affirm to tell the truth, the whole truth?
I do.
And have you testified before this
I
board?
think some years ago, but
Can you
not recently.
Just tell us about your credentials.
Yes, I am a licensed engineer and planner in New Jersey since 1990. I'm a principal with Crest Engineering Associates, located in Toms River and Millstone. And I'm preparing plans, subdivision site plans for really commercial, residential, and industrial projects for about 25 years. And I've provided testimony at many municipalities in Ocean, Monmouth, and Middlesex County.
Okay, unless there's any objections, we will accept. Okay, Mr. Asadi?
Sure. Mr. Intilli, were you involved in the preparation of this plan for a retaining wall and fence?
Yes.
Okay, and can you just describe for the board the proposal, and then we discuss the variances.
Yeah, we're located on the east side of Mound Road. We are 22,651 square feet in the R2 zone. Currently on the property is an existing dwelling, standalone garage, driveway, a shed. Our proposal tonight is to add a retaining wall and fence. The retaining wall is about 175 feet in total length and runs along the property line. The fence runs just outside of the wall, so almost combined. It's right at the edge of the wall. And we do need two variances for the proposal. One is for a grade change, wherein when constructed the wall will require some fill behind it, changing the grade of that existing property by a couple feet, a little over a couple feet in some places. And the second variance we need is for the combined height of the retaining wall, 3.5 feet maximum exposure of the wall, with a 6-foot board-on-board fence adjacent to that. So that would be 9.5 feet. 6 is required. So those are the two variances. As far as justification of variances, the property grades fairly significantly from Bound Road to easterly towards the back property. And in order to properly stabilize, in my opinion, that soil, which has a steep slope associated with it, a wall will level out some of that, flatten it out, stabilize the soil, and stabilize any soil erosion measures that would be needed, and help stabilize the soil erosion itself. The engineer's letter talked about, I believe, a tree that had to be removed, or concerned about the location of the wall and the tree.
And this was a tree off-site, correct?
Yes, it's a tree on lot 7.02, which is the adjacent lot to the south. That is the lower lot. The application lot, this lot 701, is the higher lot in elevation. That tree, my understanding, has been removed along with another 8-inch tree that's adjacent to it. So I think that issue is taken care of. One of the other issues in the engineer's letter was with respect to the overhead service that runs from Bound Road to the garage in the back, and there's a utility pole at that location, and it is close. It appears close. I would suggest, should this be approved, that we probably stake out the wall ahead of time, take a look at its relationship to that pole. Poles are expensive to move. We don't have to move it if we can adjust the wall, or it's not an interference. Then that would be, I think, a reasonable solution to that.
Who decides that?
We typically
What?
It's a good question.
we would typically defer to the township engineer or the board engineer to take a look at that while the stakes are there in the proximity to the utility pole.
Is that okay with you?
I don't really have a problem with that. I don't, if the pole doesn't need to be relocated, you know, I don't want them to go through the expense unnecessarily to do that. I think that if it's going to be staked out and somebody looks at it, probably I should do it because I'm familiar with it. So if we want to meet on site when the stakeout's done, you know, we can do that and look to see if any changes need to be made.
Can I ask for a point of clarification?
Yes.
Are you referring to this photo? Where is the pole to which you
The
refer?
utility pole shown on the plan that was submitted to the board. It's hard to see, but if you're at the house and you go to the right towards the proposed wall, you'll see a circle with a couple hooks on it. That is a symbol for a utility pole.
Do you see where it says limited disturbance 2,100 square feet?
I don't think we have that drawing.
I don't know if we
The-
That's okay. Is that a utility issue? Would JCP&L manage that, or
It's
town
not.
manage it?
It wouldn't be JCP&L because they're concerned about their power lines in the right of way. The pole located on the homeowner's property. They don't want it. Obviously, they don't want it to be negatively impacted by construction, but. I don't think they like an approval from them is necessarily required. Do you have the plan in front of you?
Should be for Martinez.
Yeah.
Run this one.
It's Martinez.
Mine is entitled Plan to Accompany Variance Application dated 4/5/24.
It's folded in the back.
Looks like this.
The other one we couldn't start because it was before 7:30.
Yep.
Thank you.
It's shrunk.
Yes.
So if you see the call out that says limited disturbance 2,100 square feet,
Yeah.
and there's a leader arrow pointing from that text to a line. Right next to where the arrow is, there's a circle with like two little hooks on it. That's the utility pole symbol.
The 134?
Right next to the 134, yeah. You can see it's looks like it's very close to the wall. So if a modification of the wall would be required, most likely the wall would have to kind of come into the property to go around it because the wall is right on the property line.
So it would curve?
Well, that's not what our proposal is. That we'll stake out pre-construction, the engineer will come out, look at it, and there'll be a conversation as to whether or not the pole should be moved in a bit to get out of the way of the wall. And if that becomes necessary, we'll of course work with JCP&L to make sure that's done safely and in accordance with their processes too.
Mr. Matlack, you're okay with the stakeout and?
I'm okay with that, and
Okay.
and I think that's probably a better alternative to move the pole than to try and angle or curve the wall around it.
Okay.
So I got a question. The lot next to it is empty, correct?
No, there's a house on it under construction. Yeah.
Okay. The fence is going to go on top of the wall?
Just if you look at the detail that should be on your plan, the wall is built of modular decorative block, masonry block. It has a slight slope to it for stability purposes. So at the top of that slope, it's flat. And just past the last block would be where the fence would go.
So at some points, according to my paperwork, it's going to be 9.5 feet high.
Correct. The wall's 3.5 at its worst location, and that's only in the middle. It tapers down to meet grade on both
If
sides.
they were to move the fence 10 feet into the property line, no variance would be required. And quite frankly, it would have the same visual impact. And they'd lose 10 feet of the use of the property.
Would it though? Because it's 9.5 feet. I mean, looking from the other side,
Is the fence
it's
on
just
top
this
of the wall?
big wall.
What?
This
It's,
is
the
gonna be
fence
on
is
top.
directly behind, or basically
Yeah.
top directly behind. The way the ordinance reads, if
Not
the
on top.
wall and the fence are 10 feet apart or less,
Yeah.
then you have to combine the height of the wall and the fence. If the fence is more than 10 feet from the wall, then you don't have to combine the height.
I see what you're saying.
And if they move that fence 10.5 feet, it's gonna have the same exact visual impact, and they're having a much less efficient use of the property.
It's not on top of the wall.
Yeah.
Yeah.
You don't really see
It's
it. I know
next
this
to it.
property. It's
Yeah,
behind
It's
the
next to the
house.
wall.
yeah,
Right
it's
there.
more like, it
Yeah.
appears to be behind the wall.
Yeah. It's not, it's right there, and you have to add them up.
Yeah.
But it's still, the maximum height you're gonna see is 6 feet.
The maximum would be 6 feet for the fence and 3.5, as I say, in the worst case for the exposure of the wall.
And there's also a slope going up from the adjacent property that, just so you understand, these two lots were one lot and were subdivided several years ago for the new house to be constructed on the, what looks like a vacant lot, but now that house is there. And there is a fairly steep slope on that lot that leads up to where the wall is. So it's a situation that was created by the subdivision and the construction of the house on the adjacent lot.
Hope the wall doesn't fail because your house is coming down.
Yeah, they're a proven product. They've been around a long time. I might even add that the wall might be a benefit to the lower lot, 7.02. I mentioned for stability of that
Yes,
very
stability.
severe slope. It's a 3-on-1, 4-on-1 average slope in there, which is pretty significant. So that wall kind of levels that out, gives more stability. It also gives more flexibility to the homeowner on the low side to get a swale in there, grade it, and get his stormwater out. Right now, the slope heads right down towards his property. That wall will cut that off a little bit, and then he can grade and move water left and right, mostly to the right.
Is that wall on your property or his property?
It's on our property. Yeah.
Mr. Higgins, you don't have any issues with whether it's farther back or not, because you're saying it's
I
the
think
same
the visual
impact?
impact will be the same.
Okay.
If anything, if they were to move the fence 10 feet, more than 10 feet from the wall, they could plant an evergreen screen there that could grow up much higher and have more visual impact. So,
Okay. Any other questions from the board? Okay, Mr. Higgins or Mr. Matlack, any additional? Okay. Mr. Sadi, any other testimony?
No, Madam Chair, thank you.
Okay. Any questions or comments from the public? Okay, motion to close the public hearing.
Second.
All in favor?
Aye.
Any opposed? Okay, is there a positive resolution for the variances?
I'll make a motion for positive resolution.
Is there a second?
Second.
Okay, Claire?
Yes.
Yes.
Yes. Yes.
Yes. Yes.
Yes. Okay, thank you.
Thank
Best
you.
of luck.
Thank you.
Next case, Geraldine Maloff, 406 West Park Avenue, Oakhurst, 07755, Block 26, Lot 66, Zone R4. The applicant previously received zoning approvals for a two-story rear addition and second-floor addition that met the zoning bulk requirements. The applicant now seeks approval for a second-floor side addition within the side yard setback. A second-floor addition was constructed, which was not part of zoning approval. Minimum side yard setback 10 feet required, 5.5 feet exists, 5.5 feet proposed. David Esses is the attorney.
Yes. Good evening, David Estes on behalf of the applicant.
Good evening, Geraldine Maloff.
And if you can raise your right hand, do you affirm to tell the truth, the whole truth?
Yes, I do.
Okay. Mr. Esses?
This is a 3,700 square foot house. It's 4 bedrooms, 3 bathrooms. It's been completely remodeled. It's been remodeled essentially in keeping with the neighborhood. It's on West Park Avenue and it backs up all the way to Slocum Place. So it goes from street to street. Slocum Place, as you may know, is by Fireman's Field, by the park. So there's essentially no neighbors behind it, and then there's a parking lot for across the street for Fireman's Field. The house is already all completely constructed. It's completely finished. There is a 10-foot by 10.9 feet by 5 foot area that was on the first floor area that was enclosed during the construction, essentially inadvertently. The applicant, and she'll testify, didn't realize that she was in violence of the zoning ordinance. It was done during construction, and they wound up enclosing this area on the second floor and put a laundry room. They kept the house within the footprint that was already there. They added no new additional footprint. Just again a second floor area that they squared off in order to add to make it essentially visually and aesthetically more conforming to the rest of the house, and it all fits into the to the area. Are there any questions or comments by the professionals?
I don't have any. It's basically a vertical extension of what's there. Just there's some discussion as to whether or not it's consistent with the character of the area. And then there are 2 comments by the zoning officer, which I included in my report, and I'll read them. It's 1, applicant should provide interior layout plans for proposed additions. Pictures of plans do not show the entire layout and are not to scale. Submitted plan to scale is only exterior elevation. 2, pool plot plan shows an existing detached garage to the side of the property. The garage is non-conforming in that it does not meet the required side yard setback. If the garage is ever to be removed, replaced, enlarged, or altered, a variance will be required. This should be addressed by the applicant. I think mainly the applicant should just acknowledge that they understand if something were to happen with that garage, it would require either a variance or a complete relocation to a conforming position. And as far as the comment on the interior layout, if the addition's only for a laundry room, it's up to the board whether you want to require something more that's to scale. I'm not sure what the zoning officer's concerns were there, unless she thought that maybe it was a bedroom.
Okay.
I have a question. What is the square footage of that laundry room?
It's 50 square feet. It's basically 5 by 10.
Mrs. Maloff, I just have a question. Is this a rental property? Because I see your address is in Eatontown.
No, it's not a rental property.
Do you live there?
No, well, it's been renovated, so it's complete renovation with an extension that was done. So this was the last straw,
I
waiting to
understand.
get the approval, and they said, "Oh, what's this?" And I just thought, "Hey, this is a great idea." It was like an awkward roof. I was like, "Let's just square it off, and I could put a laundry room here instead of the basement."
You couldn't
So
live there during the construction, in other words.
yeah, so I didn't even realize it.
Okay.
Do you plan on moving into the home at all?
So I'm not sure. To be honest with you, it's a possibility. We're kind of in a period where my kids moved out, like transitional period. So I'm not going to say yes or no. It's possible.
Has the home previously been rented prior to the renovation?
No, it was never rented. I'm not looking for rental property.
Okay, Mr. Matlack?
I actually didn't review this application because the construction was already done and there are no proposed improvements, so there really aren't any engineering issues to review.
Okay. Other questions from board members?
What was the size of the laundry room again?
It's
I think you said
5
50
feet, 5 feet by 10 feet.
And as far as the acknowledgement about the garage, if it were approved, you understand that a variance would be needed or a relocation, if I'm not mistaken.
I think what Jim is indicating, we've done this as a condition before, in the event that the garage was ever destroyed, okay, it must be relocated to a conforming
Yeah,
location.
location or get a variance.
Or, well, they always have the option to get a variance. But your zoning officer wants to see plans, so that
Okay.
we will know in the future what's inside.
And that includes the pool plot plans as well?
But it sounds like, yes.
Okay.
That would be
There
a
are-
condition of approval also.
They did submit architectural plans.
Only
But I do think
exterior.
that plans were submitted,
Yeah, I
and there's
see a
no,
laundry
there's
room on
no
the plans.
changes to the
Yeah,
plan.
it's actually-
I understand that, but she's looking for an interior
Well,
layout.
if there's architectural plans with an interior layout, then that's been complied with. It should be a condition of approval. It's been done, then they've met the condition.
Okay. It
Make
looks
it a
like it has been
condition,
done.
and if it's
Yeah.
there, then they've met it.
So for the benefit of the other board members, when I look at these plans, I see this is the laundry room right here,
Right,
5 by 10, and then there's a bathroom in front of it.
correct.
So that is over the kitchen and the new dining room below.
Correct, so so the footprint of the house was never changed. It was just like this kind of awkward roof and,
Over what's now the kitchen area?
exactly.
Okay, and it really was just the laundry room that was squared off? or
That's
the
it,
bathroom
yeah.
too?
No, the bathroom's existing.
That was there?
Yeah, so it just became like an awkward spot and I didn't even
Got it.
really think much of it.
So, to
Okay,
Kate's point,
what are the date of those plans?
these are dated August 2nd, 2021.
Because her comments on July 1, 24, looking for interior plans.
Okay, these must have been submitted after?
Well,
or-
I think there was two sets of plans.
I don't know what
Okay.
else they could do. I mean, it shows a washer and dryer, sink in there.
It would be very hard to understand without these, I will give her credit. She didn't have this.
We'll make it a condition, if the zoning officer is not satisfied, they'll have to be submitted, if not, then she's okay.
But I think
Okay.
what it was two sets of plans. There was, you had an architectural plan, then you changed architects and went to another set of plans. That's what was approved. And then
Okay.
I believe you went back to that previous design. Is that correct? Pretty much?
Yeah, pretty much so.
Yeah.
Okay.
That's why there's that confusion of
I see.
two sets of architectural plans, kind of did a little construction from both.
Right,
Okay.
right.
Well, this is gonna govern, so,
That's from 21. I don't
right,
know.
well, this is what we're gonna vote on here, what she submitted, this is evidence here, so.
I don't know, they're telling us that the zoning officer's telling us she does not have interior plans.
There are copies of architectural plans that were copied, and because of the way they were copied, they're distorted. And I think just basically, the original plans have to be submitted. I don't think they have to even be prepared. If they exist, they just have to be submitted. Because they were
So basically
copies
submitted, and
there's a
if for some
distortion,
reason
so
they're
you
not
can't really
clear,
tell.
resubmit
We'll
for
make it a
approval.
condition.
Okay.
I think as a condition, we would be happy to submit what's
That's
required,
it.
assuming the board would approve it.
I don't know what she's referencing, she's not here.
Gotcha. Oh, okay.
Okay,
Understood.
yeah. Now these drawings match
the photos that you've submitted, so.
But those,
This looks
that was
accurate.
from 21 before they changed it.
No, this is what's been built. Dated 21, but this is what has been built. I can tell you that from the.
That's not what was approved. That's what the
Yeah,
confusion.
but we're about to
Got it.
approve it.
Right,
What?
Right?
got it.
The ask is for us to approve this, right? So,
I,
If it was built, there have to be plans that were prepared that it was built according to, and those have to be submitted. That's, I don't
So
think
basically,
it's
a
major
positive
problem.
resolution and a condition is if
There's
they're
two
not
conditions.
satisfactory
Yeah,
to
we have to satisfy the zoning
resubmit.
officer on those two conditions, and obviously if the garage is destroyed or removed or at any time, and to be reconstructed, it has to be in a conforming location, or
Yeah,
we'll have to come back to the board.
Ms. Maloff would agree with those conditions if the board.
Was the garage existing, or is that built during the renovation?
No, it's existing.
Existing, okay.
Okay, any other questions from board members? Okay, questions or comments from the public? Motion to close the public hearing.
Motion to close. Second.
All in favor? Aye.
Aye.
Any opposed? Okay, is there a positive resolution for the variances?
I'll motion for a positive resolution.
a second.
With the stated condition.
I got the conditions, yeah, thank you.
Thank you.
Fuller.
And we're voting on the variance for the laundry room, correct?
And the
And the garage.
yes.
Yep.
The garage, I think, is we're not touching the garage. The garage is just a condition that
Correct.
that if it were ever demolished, we would need a variance or couldn't rebuild it.
Yeah, the garage wasn't
Correct.
cited as needing a variance now because it's pre-existing.
Right.
But we provide in the resolution
That's fine.
a statement basically that if it ever should be destroyed or come down, you
Absolutely,
you can't
absolutely.
relocate it in a non-conforming location.
Absolutely.
Okay. Roll call, Claire?
Yes.
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 No.
Yes. Okay, congratulations, best of luck.
Thank you so much.
Thank you, everybody.
Next case, Joseph Snado, 355 Lake Avenue, Oakhurst 07755, Block 5, Lot 32, Zone R4. Applicant seeks approval to construct a second floor addition, expand the walk-up attic, and convert to living space, as well as keep an altered detached garage that was converted to a pool house without the approvals or permits. Minimum front yard setback 30 feet required, whereas 13.4 feet to front porch, 19.9 feet to dwelling exists, 13.4 feet to expanded front porch, and 19.9 feet to second floor addition proposed. Minimum both side yards combined setback 25 feet required, 23.5 feet exists, 23.5 feet proposed. Pool house, the accessory building, over 150 square feet, must maintain the required 10 feet sides and 30 feet rear yard setbacks, 2.6 feet one side, 4 feet other side, 7 feet rear proposed. Minimum driveway side yard setback, 5 feet required, 1.5 feet exists, and 1.5 feet proposed. And Mr. Snado, if you can raise your right hand, do you affirm to tell the truth, the whole truth?
I do.
Okay, and if you can just state your name again and address for the
Joseph Snado.
record. Okay. And you're at 355
Yes.
Lake Avenue in Oakhurst. Okay, I will turn it over to Mr. Higgins and then Mr. Matlack.
And I'm going to defer to Ben on this right now. I realize there were revised plans submitted. I know I had them, and for some reason I did not do a revised report, and my file in this application disappeared. So I have my initial report, which isn't based on the most current plans, so I will let Ben take the lead on this one.
Okay.
Sure.
Okay, so the applicant is requesting approval for the conversion of a detached garage into a guest house along with a second-story addition to the existing single-family house. Basically, the variances are required for the conversion of the guest house, and
I think
there was a little bit of confusion on the plan from my perspective because it says that it calls an as-built plan for the Snado pool house, and as-built to me means it's already been constructed. But the application says it's proposing the conversion of the garage to a pool house. So some clarification on that is necessary, and then just whether any additional utilities are required to be extended.
Okay.
So this used to be a workshop by the previous owner. The owner owned it for, I don't know, about 50 years. And they used to fix cars and fix TVs. It was known to be a workshop. When we came in, we took it, we didn't change anything. We just removed the garage doors and put doors of just regular doors. And we used it for a living space. Living just to be like a pool house use. When we first applied, we thought, oh, it would be a great idea to make a guest house. That was the initial application, and then when as we were going along with the application, we decided why not enlarge the front main part of the house and make it into a bigger house, and then use that just as a pool house. So that's where the confusion, I think, was with the resubmission into making it into a pool house. So basically we're not changing the footprint of the existing house, the back or the front. We're just changing the use from a workshop into a pool house. There's no need for a guest house. There's no need for a guest house, so it's
You're also proposing a second-story addition to the house,
to the front,
correctly? Which apparently is just going to go straight up like the other applications we've had earlier. There are variances that are required, but only because he's taking the existing non-conforming setbacks of the one-story home and extending it vertically.
yes, making it larger.
So, I just have a question, if it's okay. Mr. Matlock, you mentioned about a as-built survey that they're asking for, but you have to submit plans before you can get a survey. Is that correct? So, has this work been constructed already, and have we applied for a permit to do so?
So the work that we did was, we did not change anything into the house. We just
That wasn't the question. Did you apply for permits?
Did you
applied for permit to change the use.
Been done in the house that you're looking at? Because from what I understand from Mr. Matlock is that you're looking for an as-built survey, which means the work has been completed. And have we applied for permits to do that work? That's
So we did apply. We did apply for work to connect the back house to reconnect, because there was a we did apply for permits actually, and the permits became subject to the variance application.
So were the permits approved for you to do the work in the home?
The permits were approved because the place had all the connections and all the utilities that were there. And they wrote on the permits subject to the variance application. Should the application be denied, I did sign that I will agree to cancel that.
So I'm trying to understand this. So the variance that you're looking for, you're coming for a variance because the work has not been done, or has the work already been done and now you're looking for the variance? That's what I'm trying to understand. I'm a little confused.
So I think
explain it to me, please.
I think what happened was you applied for building permits for your electrical and plumbing and things like that, and those were approved. And then when you applied for a zoning permit, the zoning officer identified that the existing garage, or now pool house, does not meet the required setbacks. So you're required to come to the board for side yard setback variance for the pool house. And you're saying the garage has already been converted to a pool house, correct?
Yes.
Okay. And from my review of the plan, it looks like the main house does not require any variances, adding your second story.
It does because of the setback.
Is that
They're
right?
extending the non-conforming setbacks vertically. The front and the side setbacks are non-conforming. So they're being extended vertically. Yeah.
Yes, matching my all my neighbors have the have the same look.
So another question is, what's the intended use of the pool house? Are you
there a
gonna
pool?
rent it out, or is it
No.
just for?
Oh,
There's no pool.
there is a pool.
Where's this? Oh, in-ground pool. But the pool house, we would probably not approve a pool house that looked like this, because you could rent it out for
Right.
residents.
Right.
I mean,
You've gotta have more open area, you can't have a kitchenette, I don't know what it consists
How
of.
did you
I
do
just
the
wanna
ones
say-
without the permit?
What?
Ev-
How did you?
They didn't ask for a permit, they
Everything-
just went ahead and did the work.
Well, that was my question.
Right,
It was after the
that's,
fact that
No,
they
no,
asked for a
everything
permit.
was, when we came in,
The permit was asked for after they constructed the
Yeah,
pool.
that's what it sounds like.
That was my main question.
Yeah,
Right.
there's not an approved permit then, there was one that was requested but not approved, correct?
it was, well, everything was, when we applied for change of use, that's when it
Yeah, but it hasn't been approved.
has not been approved to
Yeah,
change of
yeah,
use.
that's-
Correct.
And
It
then
was
did-
applied
did-
for after the construction, but hasn't been approved because it needed zoning board approval.
Is there, heat and air conditioning in this, pool house?
No, there is air conditioning only.
So there's electrical.
There's
work
no
that's been
heat.
done with no permit.
There's no.
this could be a
Basically,
bedroom.
I would,
And plumbing.
And plumbing.
I
And a
think
bath,
we could do
you
report.
could, this could be a bedroom.
Oh, yeah.
But everything
Definitely
was
not.
I would suggest to the board, since he did,
Yeah.
Jim didn't do any report, didn't realize there was a second revised application, that we carry it so he can do a full report so the board kinda knows what's going on.
I think that's a good idea.
And can I ask for a point of clarification also? Have you begun work on your home? As the construction has begun on your home as well?
So we did construction on the pool.
Wait, stop, please.
1 second.
It's a yes or no answer. Did you begin construction on your home?
We did remodeling to the back house, yes.
Not
Don't the
this.
main- I think she's asking the
Oh,
second
no, we didn't.
The
main
second
house?
level on the main home.
No, we
Have
did
you
not.
begun construction on that?
No, no, not at all.
I think it's just the
Okay.
pool
The only work
house.
done so far has been to the pool house, that's it.
Right. And the pool house work did not
Thank
need
you.
any permits. All the work, we didn't run new lines, we didn't do anything. What all it was pre-existing. They had plumbing.
But the inside wasn't
We're gonna make
pre-existing.
renovations.
No, it was not pre-existing
Right.
inside.
You
Inside was
completely renovated the inside
right.
of that.
Inside, we changed probably flooring.
Right, and I could go live there right now if I wanted to.
It's
It's
but
lovely.
I'm happy to show you pictures.
If I
of
want to
it,
run
how it
away from
looks.
all of my
I
children
think
for a night,
it
I'm
sounds
coming.
like Mr. Higgins needs to review
And I-
Not only-
the application.
I actually thought I'd done a report, and then I saw looking through the file in the report, and I couldn't find it.
So
I knew
can-
there were revised plans, I had gotten the revised plans.
Do you have the name
Okay.
of the builder?
So, Mr. Steinberg, if we carry, it's without notice, correct?
Yeah, he doesn't have to renotice.
Mr.
Okay.
Snado, do we have the name of the builder here?
That was called out, and then that's
I
when we got.
I put in
Yeah,
all
I-
the
I-
all.
you know.
I do my own. I'm a carpenter by
Oh,
trade.
you are the carpenter yourself?
Yeah, I do paint and
Okay, so Mr. Snado, it basically sounds like Mr. Higgins needs to review the application. So we're going to carry this to the next regular meeting.
Okay.
Or is everyone in agreement to move to carry this to September 19th?
Well, I think they need to first,
Yeah.
Ms. Higgins needs to go out, and also I think the inspection department needs to go out and see
Yeah.
what's being done there.
Inspectors, we need
We
electrical.
need
And if
to,
not, a stop work order needs to be.
before we come back.
Environment.
I just want to say I have pictures of the place.
I would say let's hold the pictures, because it sounds like there's it sounds like Mr. Higgins needs to review it, and let's carry it to September 19th. If you do not have all the components, then we'll renotice for the next meeting, but at least it will be officially renoticed, carried with no new notice needed till September 19th. So come back September 19th at 7 o'clock.
Okay.
Okay? Okay. All in favor of that? I'm sorry.
Alright. Right, so the variances for the house, you can't do that. You have to wait
No,
until.
I understand.
I want to make sure, because you did the pool house already, that's why. So just to be clear, you can't start any other construction until you
Well,
come out.
Madam
I
Chair?
don't know if we would approve this pool house.
Well, I'm not saying we are or not going to, I'm just saying,
Looks,
I thought
looks
there's
like
a
a
second
guest house.
variance for the second level though, right?
Guest houses are not permitted.
Yeah, they're not.
You gotta open it up on one side. You gotta do something.
So basically, the application will come back September 19th,
Right.
and we'll
You'll
have a
have a full
report,
report.
a
Madam
full
Chair,
report.
can we request of the applicant to bring the components that he needs, pictures and anything else, so we don't have to carry it again?
Yeah.
Whatever's needed for the application. I would suggest you bring in Mr. Higgins will, obviously confirm with you. Okay, so all in
Thank
favor
you.
of carrying it to September 19th, 7:00 p.m.? Any opposed? Okay, so September 19th. Okay, next case is Costco Gas Station, 2361, Route 66 Ocean, 07712, Block 141, Lots 1, 2, and 23, Zone C4. Applicant proposes to expand the existing gas station by adding 3 more dispensers. In addition, the applicant proposes to remove the raised curbed island located at the center of the fuel facility entrance. Also, the drive aisle located along the entrance on the east side of the fuel facility is proposed to be widened adjacent to the warehouse in order to provide a 2-way left turn lane. Lastly, the applicant proposes to mark certain upgrades to the ADA parking spaces on site. Attorney is Mr. John M. Marmora. And Mr. Steinberg, please forgive me, I did not ask in advance, but if you have a membership, are you...
Oh, I wouldn't think so. I wouldn't think so.
Okay.
Because if you
Just-
vote no, they can't cancel your membership.
Just double checking.
I
Don't-
virtually say we all have memberships.
I don't.
Just for the record, wanted
Does that
to...
mean we all have to recuse ourselves?
That's why I was triple checking.
Good question. but
Mr.
I
Marmara.
don't think there's a big financial.
I'm being a member.
Okay.
Thank you, Madam Chair. As you mentioned, John Marmora for the applicant Costco. I've been involved with this property for many years, been involved with the township on it for many years as well. Just quick background, we spoke with the town a while ago about the issues with the diamonds in the parking lot. And I think as Mr. Higgins noted in his report, it was a good idea at the time. Hasn't really worked out. The landscaping doesn't do well, and it's a tripping hazard and a snow plow hazard. So we'd like to do some improvements there. At the same time, we were asked to figure something out with the gas because on a busy Saturday it was backing all the way up to the ring road. There's a problem there because as you come in off the ring road, as I'm sure anybody who's gotten gas there knows, you have to make that sharp right turn. And then there was a utility structure right in the middle there, so you sort of had to pick which side you were going to go on before you even barely got into the queue. And at thirdly were the ADA improvements were required under court order to get finished by the end of the year. The township said we don't want to look at this piecemeal, put it all together in one plan, so that's what's kind of held everything up. So we do appreciate the township's patience. We are asking for your indulgence if you're inclined to approve the project, which we hope you are. For a phasing plan so that we can get the ADA work at least done this year. But it is one project. Mr. Toze is corporate executive from Costco. He's a real estate development manager for the entire Eastern Division, and he can explain that to you. We don't want you to think by phasing we might put the gas off. That is a critical component of the application. But if you'd like to introduce yourself, Mr. Toze, and explain to the board what your relationship to the project is.
And if you don't mind, just you can raise your right hand. Do you affirm to tell the truth, the whole truth?
Yes, I do.
Okay.
Good evening, members of the board. Appreciate your time this evening. My name is Nick Toze.
Just want to get your name and address.
Yep, my name is Nick Toze, 7902 Penn, Penn Place, Alexandria, Virginia, 22308. I am the manager of real estate development for the Eastern Division of Costco Wholesale Corporation.
Can we spell Toze?
Toze, T-O-S-E.
Okay, T-O-S-E. Nicholas?
Yes, sir.
I learned tonight that's a Cajun name.
It is. So yeah, as John stated, we have the ADA that we are under a court order to have completed by the end of the year. That is being run out of our corporate headquarters out of Issaquah, Washington, with our legal and architects out of there, managing the ADA compliance across the portfolio. I'm based out of Sterling, Virginia, for the Eastern Division. We came known. Hey, we're getting ready to submit this site plan application for the ADA. We say, hey, we're coming up on gas as well. We at first said, hey, ADA is way more important if that's going to help things. John said that I guess previously we had done something to that effect of 2 different projects. The board was not pleased with that, and so we combined them based on council's recommendation to show that you were heard, and we're not just trying to come in here and do whatever the heck we want to do. As such, we broke it up into phases. The phase 1 is the ADA components, which are some stalls, a sidewalk, and some ADA crosswalk and striping. Phase 2 being the gas expansion. Part of the reason, with the phase 1 as well is, those are broken off into bid documents that hopefully upon approval, we have those ready to go to put out to a general contractor to get the pricing and the phasing for that. So it's a clean break, and we can get ready to do that. Within Costco, we also have our construction shutdown period, which starts November 1 through the end of the year with the holidays. So everything is, importance of us trying to get that done beforehand. Because of the severity of the situation with the ADA, it might go into that a little bit more, and that would be one of the very few exceptions that we do. Going back into our shutdown period and the approval process, generally kind of tracking. I think we would tentatively plan to get a building permit for the site proper. Of course, assuming approval and site plan to building permit. We'd probably be tracking best case scenario kind of December timeframe, which would not, for both of the projects, which wouldn't really allow us to do the ADA work. So we are absolutely asking and hoping for your help and consideration with us on the ADA component. To John's point, as far as we're not going to, do the 3-card Monty of, you approve this, but then we're not going to do that. Again, with approvals to then building permit to being ready for gas, we generally put us in about the winter time frame for that. In the Northeast and in Florida, we can start those a little bit earlier. We can't really start those operations in the winter time because of ground considerations, ambient temperature and the like. So this is scheduled pending approvals to be done spring of 2025, which again, the plan as a total with the ADA component in there would put us outside of the court order. Stepping back a second with the gas, it sounds like many of you are members. I would be lying if I said we didn't make some money off of the gas. We do. It's not as much as people think we do, and we are a publicly traded corporation. This is in our financials as well. Roughly 90% of our revenue, our profit, comes from those memberships. And so everything is geared around to the member. I'm doing these projects all up and down the East Coast. It is not necessarily in, the impetus is not about adding more gas to make more money. It's about, when these were first started years ago, and we kind of went small, and the size of the pumps, we had no idea about how successful it was going to become. And it certainly is. And so with those backups, with members waiting, I'm a member too, is waiting for those gas lines. It really is geared around more efficiencies, getting the members in quicker, preventing those queuing backups, and it's about the warehouse and the members. And yes, we do make some money, but that is not the overarching desire or the reason that we're doing these things. And this also is slated within our gas ops for pump equipment and ordering and on our master planning. It is scheduled pending approvals to start in the spring of 2025.
That's about what we have by way of general introduction, subject to questions from the board.
I do have one question. Everybody here is aware that there are times when there's a significant backup of the traffic. How does that affect the operation of the store?
It has a negative impact. I think we're tracking about 30% now are gas only. They just get gas and don't go into the warehouse. We've got the data broken down a little bit more. It does affect it because it's hey, I just want to get the gas. I'm not going to go in and shop. Or you shopped and on a Saturday and the last thing you want to do is go get gas. So there is a negative impact to a degree. The reality is though, I think as a member as well, we kind of adjust. You need toilet paper, you need the rotisserie chicken, you need those things. You're gonna make time to do it.
And I'm thinking more along the same lines you are, but also, John, you have a traffic expert that's going to testify as to the problems with traffic going in and out because it gets blocked up. Okay.
And I can say, and then the traffic engineers are much smarter at that than I am. So on, yep. We do these all up and down the East Coast, and our traffic engineers who have been doing our work for about 25 years, they're intimately aware of our operations. And what I would say is, it's the common theme and a question, is it sometimes can seem counterintuitive that we already have an existing backup. You're just going to be adding more gas, so there's a linear relationship of compounding the problem. How we address that, and you'll see in our presentation, is some of the relocation of the islands, the spacing that we have within the islands to allow more efficient operations. So again, it's not that linear. Hey, adding more pumps just going to increase the backup. Although with the capacity of this station as it is, adding more pumps is going to help with the other lane, of more members being able to actively get gas as opposed to sitting in the queuing. And so the questions relating to that and kind of how that, actually works or examples of that, I'll allow our traffic engineer to speak to that.
So you'd be doing the ADA work first, and then.
So and that's what our we would hope to do. And that's what we're asking for. And again, what that mechanism would be, pending approval from the board. Is that a full site plan? Is that going to a permit? How that would go. And it's on the drawings that have been submitted. If you see the phase 1, it is a sidewalk around Ring Road there going to the side of the warehouse. It is restriping and reconfiguration of some ADA to remove the diamond portions that are sticking into some of those, and so it's not an extensive amount of work.
Are there any other questions for Mr. Toze?
I have questions, but I think they're going to be geared more towards the traffic engineer.
Mr. Jose is going to be here for the whole evening.
Oh, yeah.
So I have traffic patterns. So it's going to
Absolutely.
change. What are we doing to eliminate the problem that we already have?
Yep. 100%.
Yes.
Yeah. We all agree.
Okay, thank you.
Yeah.
With that, I'll call Mr. Kunzman, our site engineer.
Thank you very much for your time.
And while Mr. Kunzman is setting up, what I will tell the board, the law in New Jersey changed a year ago. I think it was just about a year ago right now. When Costco originally opened, one of the reasons why gas became overrun, the state of New Jersey came in and said you cannot exclude, if you post a price for gas, you cannot exclude members. It had to be open to the public. And so Costco got caught a little behind by that. But the law changed last year, and now they're allowed to limit gas service to members only. So that does sort of cut back a little bit as well.
And I'm sorry, can you please spell your name? I didn't.
My name is Matthew Kunzman, Kunsman.
Okay. And you are the traffic?
No, I'm the site civil engineer.
Oh, engineer. And if you can raise your right hand, do you affirm to tell the truth, the whole truth?
I do.
Okay, and have you testified before this board before?
Not before this board, but other boards in this county.
Okay, and can you just tell us briefly your credentials?
Sure, I have a bachelor's in science and civil engineering from Syracuse University. I have a license in professional engineering in the state of New Jersey, licensed in good standing, and I'm employed at BOA Engineering as a senior project manager.
Okay, we will accept.
You worked at a number of Costco projects.
Yes, I have.
Why don't you suspend the question and answer format? If you could just situate the board and explain what
I was looking at Mark.
you looked at as A1?
Do I just mark the top or?
Yeah, you can.
Okay, so this first exhibit is entitled Aerial Exhibit A, prepared by Bowler, dated August 5th, 2024. North is to the top of the page for your reference. What this exhibit shows is the Costco lease area lot. So the Costco actually leases this part of the lot, so that's shown in red. And then the yellow border is actually the regional, Seaview Square Mall. So the total lot area is 127 acres, but the Costco lease area is 14 acres. So instead of zooming way out, you wouldn't really be able to see anything. I figured we should zoom in just to the Costco area. The property is known as 2361 Route 66, Block 141, Lots 1 and 2, and it's within the C4 Regional Commercial Zone. The surrounding uses of the property is C4 uses, very similar uses with commercial and industrial. The existing conditions, so what you can see in the center of the site is the Costco warehouse. The northwest corner of the property is where the gas station is. You can see existing conditions. There's the islands at the eastern end of the gas station and the western side of the gas station as well. In the parking lot, there are 30 tree diamonds scattered throughout that do not really have any landscaping in them at this time. And to the northeast side of the of the warehouse, there is the trash compactors and a trash enclosure area as well. So with that, and just one more thing about the gas station component, there are 6 pumps with a total of 12 fueling positions. So when we have an addition, there's going to be 9 pumps, 18 fueling positions. So moving on to my next exhibit.
Well, the other was currently 6 pumps?
Correct. There are 6 pumps, 12 fueling positions.
Can you point out on that other exhibit where the pumps exist? On that, on the one in your hand?
This one?
Yes.
Referring back to A1, it's 3 wide, so, and then 2 deep.
Thank you.
All right.
How would you describe this exhibit?
This is the overall site layout plan exhibit prepared by Bowler, dated August 15th, 2024, and north again is to the top of the page. So what this exhibit shows is our site plan that was submitted as part of our application. It's colorized with the landscaping superimposed. So we are proposing, as part of phase 1, as I mentioned before, ADA improvements. So in the existing conditions, most of the ADA parking spaces were clustered in one area. So as part of the ADA code, the parking spaces have to be closest to the front door. So if you have a long row of parking that's ADA, that one parking space that's at the end of the row, that's further than another parking space that could be available for someone that has ADA. So with that, we have spread out the ADA parking spaces along the corner of the front entrance of the building. So that's part of phase 1. And then additionally, we are proposing a sidewalk that connects from the sidewalk along the northwest portion of the warehouse and connects out to the ring road where there's a bus stop. So as a point of entrance to the site, you can take a bus, use a sidewalk, and then enter the store.
Can I ask a question? Is
Sure.
the sidewalk along the building at the southern end of the building being widened? Because it's very narrow there, and for somebody to get through, particularly if they're in a scooter or a wheelchair, you can only go one direction, you can't go both directions.
Sure, the sidewalk is not being widened, but it is ADA compliant. There is enough room for, in the ADA code, I believe it's like 200 feet where you can go in a straight distance and be able to turn around, or someone can pass you. So there would be enough room for that.
It is a 5-foot wide sidewalk. So typically, when you have a the requirement is if you have a 4-foot wide sidewalk, then every 200 feet you need a 5-foot passing zone. So it being a 5-foot wide sidewalk, I think it's fine.
That's a good point as well. So that's what we're proposing in phase 1. Now part of phase 2 is the gas canopy expansion. So as mentioned before, it's 3 dispensers wide, 2 deep in existing conditions, and now we're proposing 3 additional pumps. So a total of 18 fueling positions. And with that, we're also repositioning some of the dispensers to provide more room for cars to be able to turn in and out. Before they're more clustered together, closer together. Now we're spreading them out a little bit further, so it's easier for cars to exit or enter.
I have a question. When you say cars that enter or exit, are we reconfiguring the entrance and the exit of the utility building?
We are doing that as well. So on this exhibit, as you enter into the gas, because the gas is only one way, as many of you already know, but you enter in on the eastern side of the gas. There used to be a landscape island right in the center and have 2 driveways in. Now we're removing that. So it's no longer like a choke point where people aren't queuing in those lines. Now they can...
What I'm talking about is if you're coming in from the road and turning in to go into the gas station.
Sure.
Okay, that component's going to stay the same. You're not widening the road in any way. You're not making an additional entrance. It's still the same way to get into the gas station. The only thing you're doing is going to make more space once you enter that gas station area. What you're saying, you're not.
We are also modifying the road right next to. It's really a driveway that connects to the ring road. We are.
That's the one I was saying.
Sure. So we are adding a turn lane. And it's for a couple of reasons. One, allows, if the line was to get really long at the gas station, it will allow people to sit in the turn lane rather than blocking the lane and sitting, going north or south, so cars would be able to pass. And the second one was we observed that the fuel truck delivering the gas, they had to enter into this gas area, and there's underground storage tanks. And making that maneuver is very challenging in the existing conditions. So widening this road or driveway here allows for more room and easier maneuver.
So by adding the additional 6 fueling stations, you're going to make, what you will do is eliminate 6 more spaces of cars that are waiting to get in, basically.
I should elaborate. We are expanding to the exit side, so not the entrance side.
Because you're expanding the exit then. Because
Correct.
you're going to get more vehicles into that area, you're going to still have to exit to come out, and you're going to exit one at a time as they're fueling their gas in the area.
Yes.
So you're expanding the area for them to come in and get the gas. But you're not expanding the entrance for them to come from the road, from that back road there to get into the station. Right. They're still going to enter the same way. The only expansion you're doing is where the islands are.
Yes.
The islands are located. So the expansion is within the islands itself, not in you're widening that one way.
Yes.
Road right there. How much wider is that road going to make?
Just give me a second. I'm not sure off the top of my head how wide it is existing, but the proposed is 13 feet for one way, 12 feet for the center median area where you can turn. And the lane closest to the warehouse is 12 feet wide.
Do we know the size of that road now?
I can measure it.
gonna try and beat you to it.
Might have an advantage. He has everything out.
It's our version of the Olympics.
Okay, so right now from the curb line to the island that's currently there, it's 29 feet wide.
Okay.
And then the proposed, the island is going to be gone, but the between the two curbs near the exit, it's going to be 36 feet wide.
Is there any reason you can't arrange a fuel delivery when there are no customers there early in the morning? That just seems so logical to me.
Most of the time, the fuel delivery is really on demand. When the tank levels get to a certain level, they have to be refilled out. So, okay. Should we have Nick?
Yeah, Nick, you want to be
Yeah,
responding to that?
that's probably a question for you.
When it's empty, they gotta fill it like a car.
Those I recall.
So fuel deliveries are generally twice a day. One of them is in the off hours when nobody is there. Based on demand, we are running one during the day, one in the evening as well on those off hours. And again, demand based is we couldn't do them all at the off hours time because then we would run short during the day.
Since you're up there, I have a question for you. Are you going to hire more employees to pump more gas? Because if we're not going to hire more employees to pump more gas, it's not going to really speed up the process. I mean, as you know, workers are slow to begin with, and that kind of slows the process of the people getting in and out of the gas station.
New Jersey is its own animal with the pumping of the gas. What I will say is, we will obviously maintain any legal requirements. However, if that becomes a condition of approval, we can address that then.
Mr. Kunzman, only because I just can't see, and this is a little large to open. What is that small rectangle where the current I just can't see what it is. What?
Right where I'm pointing?
Yes. What is that?
So there's a fuel additive tank that's underground, and it's a
so that's
concrete
not
pad on top.
okay.
It's there existing, but we're repaving the whole area.
Okay.
So we're just pouring new concrete as well on top.
Do you have any indication at all where the curb cuts are going to be in the sidewalk that you're adding? If you don't know, that's okay.
I'm not sure what you mean by that.
So in order to be ADA compliant, you have to have curb cuts
Sure,
in the sidewalks for the scooters or the wheelchairs.
Ramps with truncated domes, and they're all ADA compliant.
Okay. I was
But
just
if you're,
wondering if you knew where
we
they
have
were.
two ramps with flush curb, concrete flush curb, located at the intersection, and then close to the warehouse there's another one that's for a ramp.
And I believe those are shown on the phase one breakout of that.
All right.
I have a quick question about the pumps. You'll go from basically 2 deep to 3 deep, right? So you could have 3 cars stacked getting fuel at once.
Yes.
If car number 1 or A, first one leaves, will there be enough room for a car to navigate through to get to that A position? Or if they're still in front, can car 3 or C get through safely?
Yes,
Good.
that's why we're widening.
Yep.
Before, probably not as easily without backing up.
Yeah, that's what I meant.
And then we also have the red light, green light component that we've added on there, where it's a screen of at the airports of there's this many available spaces, and that's standard practice that we're doing across our entire portfolio. So you've got the queuing line there. If there's 2 people in, there's red. If the one in front of you is vacant, there'll be a green light on there. And then, having, I will say as well, just because I've been going into this a lot, training has become an emphasis with our workers out there a lot. And again, everybody's nodding their heads. Like I said, I do these a lot. Everybody's a member. I've had those conversations with our higher leadership about helping to ensure that they understand. As it is right now, the attendance purpose is to New Jersey they have to pump, but in other regions it's to address any generally elderly or disabled who might want assistance with pumping their gas immediately. Addressing any fuel spills with dry sweep, and then just generally if anything occurs. What I've been doing a big push on, and what we're doing is that training of if they're actively managing the traffic, of not just standing out there, but actively managing the traffic. Of hey, there's a line here, there's a line here, there's a line here. Everybody's nodding on that. I run into it all the time, and I have the buy-in from the senior leadership on that. So what I can tell you is that is something that is actively being addressed from the top down. As it stands right now, each warehouse manages their own plan. And so, this seems to be something that's just been getting lost in the greater operations of everything else. It's an opportunity for us to retrain our members, our employees, in order to help the members. So it is being addressed.
I think that if you do train your employees to properly address the traffic patterns and move quicker when they pump the
100%.
gas, you're going to eliminate a lot of the traffic problem that we currently have right now, because it really is. I don't know if you've been to the site and waited there to watch the traffic and what goes on. You can't get through.
Yeah, I was there after I flew in this morning.
You can't get through the back road in any way, shape, or form. You have to go all the way around, and everybody's everywhere, and it's a mess. It's people, they wait online for a long time, and I think the lines can probably go quicker, but that's something that you guys have to control with your employees.
100%, and in full disclosure as well, like I said, I do a lot of these, and I would appreciate if that didn't keep coming up. And it's low-hanging fruit that we can address. So you're heard, and it's being worked on.
Well, last question from me. I'm sorry. I don't recall how it's situated now, but the pumps will be basically, or the lines will be long enough to reach both sides of a vehicle, so you can go on either side, right?
Yes.
On the southern end of where the pumps are, looks like maybe there's 3 trees there and like a little green area.
Yes, sir.
Is there a benefit of widening that out, maybe even eliminating that to allow more egress in and out of there?
Costco does have an obligation as a tenant to maintain a certain amount of parking in their lease area. So we are pretty much right at that maximum amount of...
Well, the way I'm seeing that, I don't think you eliminate any parking. You just eliminate maybe 2 trees and whatever that green area is.
So one of the things that we're concerned with is making sure that we're not increasing the amount of impervious. Right now, as the plan is shown, there's a decrease in the impervious surface. I think it's 167 square feet. Yeah. And that's one of the things that needs to be maintained to make sure that we don't increase the impervious, because the original approval of the entire site was approved with a certain amount of impervious surface. So we don't want to have to go back to the original plans and stormwater management. So we're trying to keep maintain the existing impervious or reduce it.
So we're keeping the trees.
And in addition to that, there's a lot of landscaping going in as part of the plan.
Yeah.
Yes. So just to close out removing these islands on each side of the gas canopy, it does require a variance as part of our conditional use of being a gas station. It has to have perimeter landscaping. So removing those 2 islands does require a variance. As discussed, it provides removing those islands allows cars to queue easier, more efficient layout. So that's why we're requesting that variance. Additionally, we have to request a variance for not providing a trash enclosure, like a masonry block or fenced-in trash enclosure by the gas station. Similar to how the site's functioning today, there are trash bins at the dispensers. The employee would just have to collect the trash at the end of the day or middle of the day, whenever is needed, and then take it to the rear of the warehouse and use those trash enclosures. So we are requesting a variance for that as well. We are also proposing to remove the 30 tree diamonds, as mentioned, throughout the parking lot. We are proposing 31 new trees throughout the site, so you can see them in green on this rendering. So for a total, we are removing 4,557 square feet of landscape, but we are adding back 4,724 square feet of landscaping.
Give me the numbers again. You're removing.
There's
numbers I didn't see.
4,500.
He tells me that I have.
Okay.
Yeah, at the very end.
Right there. Okay, I got it. Okay, I got it.
Yes, and as part of providing more landscaping by 167 square feet, we are removing 7 parking spaces located on the eastern portion of our lease area. I have them shaded in green, and those parking spaces are really for what was previously the Amazon facility, but it's within our lease area. So they're not really being utilized by Costco members. They could be, but you have to cross the main drive aisle, and they're really meant for that prior Amazon facility. So,
I just have a quick question. Sure. Mr. Higgins, in your report it says here the removal of a total of 6,665 square feet of landscape area.
No, that's based on an older plan. That's an older report.
Okay.
You go to the August 6th report. He revised it.
Yeah.
yeah, so we are removing 7 parking spaces in total. The required amount for the whole entire shopping center, that's how the calculation is done, is 4,285 parking spaces, and we are proposing 4,233 spaces. And we are doing that because of landscaping, providing more pervious surfaces, produces less stormwater runoff. And additionally, with the ADA reconfiguration, it does take up more space, so you lose some parking spaces with that as well. And additionally, the parking lot, the majority of the parking lot is being milled and overlaid as well, so there will be a new pavement and new striping for the Costco parking lot.
As part of the phase 2.
Yes. For utilities, there's no real impact, no really increase in demand for the expansion. For stormwater management, we are not a major development as defined by the NJDEP, but we are decreasing impervious surfaces, so there will be less stormwater runoff leaving the site in proposed conditions. All right. I'm going to move on to
Before you move on, can you just address the lighting, the
sure.
canopy lighting?
Yeah, I can. Okay. So we are requesting 2 variances for the lighting of the gas canopy. The ordinance requires recessed light fixtures in a canopy. We are proposing flush mounted. It's similar to what's out there today. So we are requesting a variance. It's really expansion of the existing non-conformity. So that's why we're requesting that variance. And the second one is the spillage of the foot candle value on the property line. So 0.25 foot candles is permitted, and we have 2.5 foot candles. And that's occurring at the gas, next to the gas station. But with that, that lot line is really a lease line. So we did notice and propose a variance, but we may not need it, but we're just being conservative to make sure we get that variance request.
The lights go off when, though? Do you know? Somebody knows. Those lights are not on. The 2.5 doesn't exist all night long.
I don't think so. I think it'd just be security lighting.
Yeah, no. I mean, I would think so. The lights are not on. Something's on, though. I don't know what.
I think when the gas services stops, it's just security lighting from that.
Okay. So it's only when the gas service is in operation. Okay.
What time does the gas station close?
I think an hour after the store closes or something like that. That's when you go. That's the best time. But it's approximately a half hour, an hour after the.
I believe about
store
an hour.
closes.
I don't know the specific warehouse. So I can check.
It's approximately that. So it's not on past that.
Yeah, it's not 24/7.
I agree with the engineer's testimony that I'm not sure of the legality of it, but the it is like a lease line instead of necessarily a lot line, and the light spillage is just onto the neighboring drive aisle, so I don't really have an issue with it.
Why can't you do the recessed lighting though?
I believe the facade of the it's really a metal facade, and inside it's, we have our architect here who can also answer that question.
Well
I was
played.
trying to
Well
skip
played.
through it, but
Pay for
That's a good
effort.
try.
Pay for effort. Thank you. Okay.
Oh, sorry. And then I guess the last thing I'll hit is the landscaping. Again, we are requesting a variance for the tree diamonds being removed. That is a requirement, but we are providing 31 new trees throughout the property. And we have received a letter from, I believe it was the site tour and site plan review. I'm not sure it was Environmental Commission. We have addressed those comments by substituting the types of trees proposed.
Okay. Any questions for Mr. Kunzman? Additional questions?
I have a question for Mr. Matlack. Do we really care about the recessed lights? Is it a hill to die on here?
No.
Okay.
And I think the testimony was it matches what's there currently, so I don't think it's an issue.
Yep.
Okay. Thank you.
Well, I can touch on the architectural if we want to. Yeah. Yes, so this is A3.
So we're not touching the building at all. We're just
No.
doing some parking lot and the gas.
Correct.
And the ADA
In there,
compliant
yes, sir.
stuff in the parking lot.
So this is proposed fuel elevations prepared by MG2, dated November 28, 2023. So this plan shows the elevations of the gas canopy expansion. Starting from the top, you have the east-west side elevations. So this shows either entering into the gas facility or exiting that view. So you see the three wide gas dispensers. And then moving down the page, so you have the north and south elevations. This would be the opposite, so from the side view. We are showing new signs. So two signs, one on each side of the gas canopy. They are centered on the gas canopy and they're compliant. And this also shows the expansion with the 3 deep gas dispensers. And we'll be matching similar materials, metal fascia, to what's out there existing.
For the record, the project architect is here if you do want to hear from him.
Okay.
And that is it.
Thank you. If you don't mind just sharing your microphone, the architect. If you can state your name.
Brian Kendall. I'm with MG2 Corporation. We're the architect for Costco. I've been doing this for 18 years with Costco. I'm a licensed architect here in New Jersey. And I have not appeared before this board, but I appeared before several different boards in New Jersey.
Okay. And do you affirm to tell the truth, the whole truth?
I do, yes.
Okay. Are there any questions for the architect?
It's okay if you don't. But I'm here
Just
if you
for the
do.
record. Okay. Doesn't sound like there are. Thank you.
Thank you.
Okay, Mr. Marmore.
Now the hour is the traffic engineer, I'm sure.
Oh, yeah.
Lots of questions for him.
Okay.
I'll call David Fahim.
F-A-H-I-M, Fahim. Okay. And Mr. Fahim, if you can raise your right hand, do you affirm to tell the truth, the whole truth?
I do.
Okay. And have you testified before this board before?
No, not before this board, but numerous boards all over the state of New Jersey.
Okay. Can you just tell us about your credentials, please?
Sure. So my name is Dave. I'm a project manager at Atlantic Traffic. I've been an engineer for roughly 9 years. I have a degree from Rutgers University with a civil degree, as well as a degree in mathematics from Stockton University.
Okay.
I'm licensed PE. My license is currently active.
Okay, we'll accept.
Can I just spell your last name?
Oh, sure. F is in Frank, A-H, I, M is in Mary.
David. First name.
David, yes. Right.
Explain to the board what your relationship to this project is.
Sure. So I'm the traffic engineer on the project. We've been working with Costco closely to try to see what the issues currently are at the gas station today and how we can, with this improvement, accommodate any issues that are currently happening. So just to reiterate, you guys touched on really a lot of my testimony through previous testimony. But yeah, we're looking to go from a 12 fueling position facility to 18. The extension would go on the exit side, so that's a better option because it allows more stacking within the facility. And then also with the removal of that 35-foot wide island in the middle, that would allow for even more stacking. So I'll just quickly go over a little bit of what our research included and what our findings are. So our office collected turning movement count data at intersections along Ring Road. So we looked at the intersection with Roller Road as well as the Costco egress portion of the driveway, along with the Costco ingress and egress portions of the actual fuel facility itself. We collected that data back in June of 2023, and we looked at the data to try to figure out what the worst case scenario was for the critical peak hours. So critical peak, we looked at the morning commuter, the evening commuter, and then the Saturday afternoon. So once we determine what the critical peak hours are, that's what we use to study. So typically for a Costco facility, it's usually we use the industry standard, which is the research data provided by the Institute of Transportation Engineers, or ITE. But there's not a similar land use that is within that research set of data. So what we've done, like throughout the years with our company working with Costco, we've researched a lot of Costco facilities and just used site-specific data. So that's exactly what we did here. We wanted to use site-specific information for our report. And as we progress, Costco over the years has noticed, an increase in their activity at the fuel facilities, which of course you guys have seen. So with the expansion, that's kind of where Costco is heading for a lot of their sites. They want to make sure that any sites that experience any kind of issues, they want to try to mitigate that by expanding the gas station area. So on top of data that we had collected at the existing site at Ocean, we also consulted with the Costco gasoline operations team, who's responsible for collecting research at a lot of locations throughout North America. So similar to what Nick mentioned earlier, it's not really a linear increase when you look to add fuel dispensers. So like an example that isn't data that we collected, just something easy. So if there were six fueling positions at a gas station that generated 100 trips. If we were to double it, it wouldn't generate 200 trips. It would only generate about 60% of that. So that's what we found through the research, through consulting with the gas operations team. So because it operates any additional traffic at about a 60% rate, we're really looking at, so with the data we collected, we saw a maximum of 183 vehicles entering the fuel facility on a Saturday. Typically your Saturday is your busiest time at Costco for the gas station. So 183 trips entering. When we apply that factor based on that research, we're really only looking at an additional 56 trips entering. Now, 56 trips may sound like a lot, but...
Is this peak or for the day?
For the peak. Peak hour.
What are the peak hours?
The peak hours, sure. So the AM peak hour was observed to be 9 to 10 a.m. PM peak hour was 5:15 to 6:15 p.m. And the Saturday peak hour was from 11:45 to 12:45 p.m.
I have a question for you.
Sure.
The hundred and 183,
Yes,
you're saying that would add an additional 56 to that.
correct.
That's during the peak hours only.
That's during the peak hours, and I'm really just focusing on Saturday because that's the worst.
Saturday.
Yes,
Saturday hours.
just to give you a worst case of all the studies. Yeah,
So Saturday peak hours are from 11:45 to 12:45.
that's correct.
And that's your biggest influx of traffic coming in at that time.
Exactly.
You don't have numbers on other days, do you?
Just on the day we collected. So we collected on a Thursday. We typically like to study a Tuesday, Wednesday, or a Thursday because it's not like Monday and Friday. It's a little bit skewed. Some people take a longer weekend. Some people like to leave early, so we always study those days. So we just have the data from the one Thursday we collected and the one Saturday.
And what was the Thursday?
It was Thursday, June 8th, 2023.
And what were the amount of cars?
For the entire period or for the peak hour?
For the peak hour for Thursday.
So for that Thursday, we looked at the AM peak hour was 132 vehicles entering, and the PM peak hour was 167 vehicles entering the facility.
And that number of the additional 56 for Saturday, would that be the same number for Thursday as well?
No, it would be an additional 41 anticipated because it's based on the amount of volume that we observed and then multiplying it by that rate. So we're looking at 41 additional entering trips during the morning, 54 during the PM, and then 56 on Saturday.
So you're anticipating in 1 hour only on a Saturday, approximately 200 cars coming
Right,
in
and-
for gasoline.
Correct.
1 hour.
Yeah, during the peak hour, right.
And that is not including any other time of the day, all of the other vehicles, correct?
Yep, it's the busiest peak hour. I understand. It sounds a lot.
It doesn't sound, it is.
Right.
I'm just,
I'm sorry, I have additional questions.
Sure.
So during that peak hour where you're gonna have this influx of cars, which is a lot of cars.
Mhm.
Okay, that back road coming into the Costco, okay?
Mhm.
A lot of people do try to enter that way and
Sure.
some people come from the other way. How are we gonna manage all this traffic that's gonna be coming into that one fueling area from the arteries going in, because how do we manage that? How do we stop that from becoming a problem, a traffic jam, people getting upset with each other?
Right. So that problem would exist today because there's a lot of backups that happen on the road. Correct.
We're gonna increase that by an additional 56 cars.
Right, and I'm going to get into it a little further in testimony. Okay, so really just kind of jumping onto that. So when we look, so the 56 additional vehicles, we break that out into 3 different trip type classifications. So again, through extensive research that our office had done through many Costco sites in the Northeast, we collected surveys at the existing Costco fuel facilities, all the way from New Jersey up to like Massachusetts. We've done data collection. And we found 3 different trip types. So there's a new trip, there's a pass-by trip, and then there's an internally captured trip. Just for definition, if you guys don't know, a new trip is really a customer who enters the gas station for the sole purpose of just getting gas and then going back to their original point of origin. A pass-by trip is really like a secondary stop where a motorist is going to make a trip into the gas station while they're en route to another destination. And then an internally captured trip is a trip that is captured within the network from somebody who either already went to the warehouse or is planning on going to the warehouse, so they were already going to be a trip within the network. And of course, as this is a members-only fuel facility, it's only natural that the overwhelming majority of the trips that we expect at the fuel facility are internally captured trips. So in terms of new traffic coming from outside the network and into the area, we're only, of the 56 entering trips, it's really only 13 external trips that we expect because of how much internally captured traffic happens within the Costco warehouse and fuel area. So I'll keep going into the vehicle queuing because that's really what this is all about. So the existing gas area can store about 40 vehicles before backing onto the main drive aisle. And that also, those 40 vehicles includes the ones that are currently being fueled. Under future conditions, where it's looking, the storage would be increased to about 48 vehicles can be stored. So that's with the additional 6 that can be stored on the new fuel dispensers located toward the exit of the site, plus an additional couple where the existing median was in the middle of that entering area. So now we're going from 40 to 48. It's able to stack more vehicles within it. And then with the expansion, like of the fuel dispensers, our office prepared a stochastic queuing analysis of the area. And that looks at several things like the number of lanes, the arrival rate of vehicles, and the service time. And with that, we found that we would expect, under future conditions with the extended fuel facility, 42 vehicles. So under future conditions, we're seeing that we would expect the worst case scenario, that Saturday situation, to actually be maintained on site, because you're allowing more vehicles to be serviced at a much more efficient rate, especially with the longer hoses that were mentioned, as well as the overhead lighting on top of the gas station.
Can I ask a clarifying question just to help? I'm over here.
Oh, sure.
To drive that home. So, peak right now about 180 on a Saturday.
Sure.
And with the improvements, you think you'll add about 50 in an hour. The reason, correct me if I'm wrong, because this is how I'm thinking, I understand it.
Sure.
The reason 50 more cars will go there is because they'll see shorter lines. It'll be easier for them to go in and go. It's just by adding pumps doesn't automatically pull 50 cars into that in an hour. There are 50 more trips there because it's an easier trip to make at that point.
Right, it's a convenience thing. That's kind of with the internal capture trips I was talking about. They're already at the warehouse, and then they see, oh, well, okay, the line's not too bad. Let me jump into the fuel area and get service.
Okay. Have you done this work with other gas stations in this area by any chance?
No, just
how does this compare to other big name gas stations on a peak hour?
I mean,
if you tell me.
Yeah, off the top of my head, I don't have that kind of information, but just holistically, I would imagine because it's members only, it wouldn't be as much of a demand as it was just a general gas station off the state roadway.
Okay, thank you.
Question on, you didn't go out on a Sunday?
We didn't study the Sunday, no.
Okay, because this area is kind of a unique area. There's quite a few people that shop on Sundays because they don't shop on Saturdays.
Okay.
And one of the things I'd like maybe for the board to consider is a restriction. I'd like to see somebody out there Saturday and Sunday just doing nothing but directing traffic to those spots. I don't care how quick you pump the gas if people can't queue up.
Yeah, I may have missed it.
But the problem is there's no organization out there. There's no one organizing these cars coming in and out. It's a complete mad scene.
You know, not a gas attendant, but somebody's just sole job is. You see it all the time at with Chick-fil-A. They have somebody out there that's.
Yeah, I think with the overhead lighting, adding that efficiency so vehicles are able to pull into any open spot.
Said in person.
Yeah.
With the lighting.
Did I miss it, or did you testify how long each vehicle will be at the pump from the time they pull up?
He did not.
I did not.
Service, and what is the amount of time that
he did not
estimate?
Yep, I could tell you what we found from our data. Give me 1 second.
Yeah, 'cause
So we observed a average service time at this location about 3.93 minutes from when they initially pull in to when they finally pull out. Yeah.
so that's consistent with your 200 an hour. That's what I wanted to know.
Yep.
Okay.
Right.
This wouldn't be for you, but maybe for someone. The pumps themselves, there are like high flow pumps versus like. Does anybody know are they like high flow pumps are not like the slow ones that are going to take 20 minutes?
For the record, that was Mr. Tosay. He confirmed that they are high flow pumps.
So I have just one last thing. I just want to wrap up finally. So, like I mentioned before, we did that stochastic queuing analysis to determine that under future conditions, we would look at around 42 vehicles where we would be able to accommodate 48 on site. So we don't anticipate vehicles backing up. And really just to confirm that, we studied 2 additional Costco locations. Unfortunately, they're not in New Jersey. They are in North Carolina and South Carolina, but they experienced a similar expansion to what we're doing, 12 to 18 fuel positions. So we looked at that after, where they had the 18 in effect, and we were looking at a maximum of only 28 vehicles in demand at those facilities after the expansion. So even still, obviously with the 28, we'd be able to more than accommodate it, but with our conservative stochastic modeling, We're estimating about 42, which still we expect to be accommodated on site. And that's really the end of my direct testimony.
Any questions for Mr. Fahim?
Just to just drill down on the internally captured, is the point in differentiating those trips to identify cars that may be coming from, we'll say, the east rather than the ring road?
Yeah, correct. It's really to just show that it's not going to be so much demand on the ring road and roller road that one would expect. It's mostly really just coming from the Costco site, going north and turning left into the fuel facility, which is another reason too why we had that extended center turn lane to accommodate those vehicles.
Got it. Okay.
One other question. I think you said in the beginning it's going to go from 2 lanes to 3 lanes.
Correct. Yeah. The
And what direction are 2 of them going to be inbound, 1 outbound, or how's that going to work?
Well, I guess because there's no, there's only the Costco warehouse wall on the other side, so it would only be really focused on the northbound side. So it would allow the vehicles that go northbound and want to turn left into the Costco, they'll be able to not get in the way of any vehicles that need to go through and out onto the major roadways.
But there's 3 lanes, so
right, so
along the Costco building,
it'll
going
be
north, so that would be 1 lane.
The
center
other
turn
2
lanes,
lanes will be
where are they going?
One of them is a left turn, and then the other one is the opposing traffic.
Yeah, the center turn lane is primarily going to be used for northbound lefts into the fuel facility, and then the westernmost lane is going to be southbound.
Exiting the gas lines. Now, right now, you have that island that blocks basically the center, all the center lanes that are exiting. So people, as they exit, they have to go left or right to go to the spaces that allow you to go out to the driveway there. What's going to happen now? They're going to all go straight out, and will there be stop bars there so that people will stop and they won't be?
Yeah, so at the end of the fuel
won't
facility?
be a free-for-all?
Right, it's not going to be a free-for-all. We do have stop bars proposed at the end of the fuel facility.
Okay, so there will be adequate signage and lanes and everything?
Yes.
Okay.
The left turn lane they were talking about, it looks like it's one of those like 2-way left turn lanes.
Right.
Is the intent of that to kind of not necessarily, I guess maybe deter people from trying to go make it 2 lanes going out and just identifying one as just only a left turn lane?
Correct. Yeah. It's so what we're trying to accomplish with that center turn lane is, yes, for the northbound left vehicles to be able to enter into the fuel facility efficiently. But as Matt previously mentioned before, it's also to help with the truck or the fuel movements to get into the Costco fuel facility as well. So that northern part that's gored off, that's the area that we would look to have that accommodated.
Any other questions for Mr. Fahim? Okay.
Thank you all.
Thank you.
I think you know well, Ms. Capone. As our planner who will address the variances.
Okay. And Ms. Cafone, if you can raise your right hand, do you affirm to tell the truth, the whole truth?
Yes.
Okay. And you've testified before this board previously?
Yes, I have testified here a few times in about 450 other planning and zoning boards throughout the state of New Jersey. Been practicing for about 28 years as an expert witness in New Jersey, and my licenses are current and valid.
Okay. We'll accept.
Thank you.
Thank you.
So Ms. Capone, would you like to just take a run through the variances of the board?
Yes, Mr. Koonsman, our engineer, did go through them earlier. We do need 2 deviations from the C3 or from the conditional use standards in the C4 zoning district, which is why we're here and the zoning board has jurisdiction. It's not that the zone doesn't allow this use, so we don't have to testify to things that you'll hear on a D variance like particular suitability and the omission of the use from the zone plan. Rather, the proofs when you're dealing with a D3 variance for unmet conditional use standard is absent compliance with those conditions, does this still remain a proper or an appropriate location for the use? And then we do need the 2 bulk variances, as Mr. Koonsman indicated. One is for the overall number of parking spaces. We are required to have 4,285. We have 4,240. And then the other is for the diamonds. You require them every 7 spaces, and we're proposing to have them at 30 spaces. So those are the 2 bulk variances.
What about the lighting or any of that? They're not bulk variances?
Um,
Talking about the that was mentioned earlier. Is that?
Well, I think the engineer testified to that.
No, I understand testify, but do we need actual variances?
Is it a variance or is it a
design
waiver?
waivers?
I think those are design waivers.
Yeah.
Okay, the flush mount lighting and
the parking lot lighting is in the design standard section of the ordinance.
Right,
Okay,
so
as
that
well
would be a
as the
design
spillage that
guideline.
we talked about.
Yes.
So then the test there becomes meeting the intent of the ordinance. So if there's any violation,
Not actually.
yeah, they're not
Okay.
correct. I would consider those waivers, and the test is, do we meet the intent of your ordinance with regard to lighting? So again, Mr. Koonsman testified that the 2 deviations with regard to the conditional use standards are for the trash and the garbage recycling the areas, which are essentially going to function as they do now, and then for the perimeter landscaping, which we're removing so that we can improve and facilitate the access to and flow through this center. I'm sure, as you have all asked in your questions, it's abundantly clear that you are familiar and have been to the site many times, as have I. This is, I would say, this and the Grove in Shrewsbury are probably 2 of the sites that when I testify on, I can say I've literally been to hundreds of times. There's not a lot of sites that I can say that. This is one of them. I am, in fact, a Costco member, and I do come here a lot. So I understand, the implications. So, as planners, what we're really focused and what we do, right, the land use law requires it, is we have to do a balancing act and do the benefits outweigh the detriment. When you get to the negative criteria portion of the planning proofs, I have to testify, the applicant has to provide you proofs, and the board has to evaluate, and the standard is not to hold the applicant to a standard that there's no detriment from the application. The standard is, are the betterments going to outweigh any detriment? So I think here in this case, when you look at the fact that we are introducing dozens of trees onto the site, we're reducing impervious coverage ever so slightly, we are improving the access to and the flow through the traffic to the site. I think Mr. Fuller made a great point in that, yes, we are going to increase in the peak hour by 50 trips. However, it's going to be because people may now want to come there because they will see things, hopefully, if this application performs the way we as an applicant expect it to, it should perform better than it does today, which will hopefully then bring more people there to be gasoline customers. So that's our test again, and we think that the betterments here do outweigh any detriments. I think when you look at what is the stated purpose in the C4 zoning district, so reviewing section 2138 of the township's zoning ordinance, it states specifically the purpose of the C4 district is to allow the development of regional shopping facilities which offer multiple retail, commercial, office, and service operations in an area with convenient major highway access. So I think this application is perfectly aligned with that. Beyond that stated purpose in the zone plan, your master plan, which was last re-examined in 2023, has a goal in it which talks specifically about, and I thought this was a pretty clever goal, to allow flexibility for the preparation of adequate guidelines for future development and restoration of commercial areas, and among other things, and industrial areas. And I think that that's important when you look at the fact that the C4 is one of the it's recognized as one of the more intensive commercial zoning districts in Ocean Township. So restoring and looking at and giving some attention to those areas in that zoning district and allowing them to function better, to me, aligns with that goal in the master plan about restoration of our commercial areas. So I think we do need some variance relief here. I would consider it pretty de minimis in light of the benefits that the applicant is hoping and intending, and I think will be successful in achieving with this application. So statutorily, I think we meet our burden of proof with respect to the D variance for the non-compliance with those 2 conditional use standards, as well as the 2 C variances. I think as far as the proofs for the C variances, the board can look at both the C1 and C2 criteria. And what that means is the C1 has to deal with the hardship criteria, right? And that is either the shape or the size of a piece of property or the structures lawfully existing thereon. So this is an application that was granted conditional use approval previously. So the applicant is sort of, you have to deal with what you have on the site. So certainly that presents some practical difficulties, at least with complying with the parking and those diamonds that exist there today. And I would say, you know, creating parking spaces every 7 or creating diamond islands every 7 spaces versus 30 is very inefficient. The Township of Ocean is not the first community that I've been asking for relief from that, because it just doesn't really lend to a great efficient layout of a parking area. So I think, and under the C2 section of the statute, if you weren't convinced that the C1 is applicable, the C2 is called the flexible C. So you can grant bulk variances if you find that one or more purposes of the land use law is advanced. I think 3 are advanced, criteria G, H, and M. Criteria G talks about sufficient space in appropriate locations. Criteria H talks about promoting the free flow of traffic. And criteria M talks about an efficient use of the land. I think this use is appropriate. It's certainly conditionally zoned to be here, and it aligns with the purpose of the C4 zone, so that's why G is appropriate. H, the free flow of traffic. We're improving it. We're doing our best we can to improve the traffic flow. And then criteria M, an efficient use of the land. There's a reason why, as planners, we encourage you to revitalize your existing commercial areas, because that is consistent with not having urban sprawl and degradation of the environment. So those statutorily, we would only need to advance 1 to invoke the C2 section of the statute, but I think that those are advanced. So that is essentially my testimony. I do believe that we meet the statutory burden of proof for both the D and C variances associated with this application, and that the board can grant the relief with no substantial detriment to the zone plan or the public good, which is the test.
That's our last witness. Any questions from the board? All of my
Are there-
witnesses are still here.
Is there any variances related to the ADA compliances that you're doing? I don't believe so.
I don't think so, Mr. Steinberg.
It may drive a little bit of the parking variance.
Yeah, because they're
Right.
eliminating some of the parking spaces to provide the new ADA
Well, that would certainly be
spaces.
another reason.
Well, that would be then criteria. We can loop in criteria A, promoting the general welfare, right?
That's right.
General welfare.
Is what I meant to say, Mr. Steinberg. That is 4 purposes in the land use law, including criteria A. That's exactly what I meant to say.
Because obviously ADA is
Absolutely promotes the general
compliance
welfare.
and
Yes,
promotes general welfare, and the amount of parking spaces you're eliminating are de minimis.
absolutely.
I don't know
Yes.
who would testify, but there's more than sufficient parking, isn't there, on the
Well,
site?
in his review letter, Mr. Higgins, I believe, finds that the rose parking was more than sufficient. I believe on page 3, I don't want to speak for him because he's right there, but he finds no. He said it is clear that the benefits of the grant of the variance substantially outweigh the definite and relates it to a 1.4% shortage. So.
Okay.
Yeah, but ADA trumps that. So that's
Okay,
also
any
the other part.
And that was from his August 6, 2024 review of the
I
application.
have only 2 minor clarifications
Mhm.
to the testimony that was given. One, that the 2023 master plan was not a reexamination, it was an
It was a
entirely
full
new
comprehensive
yeah.
master plan.
And the issue of the diamonds are required every 7 spaces. They're not being provided every 30 spaces. There are 30 diamonds being removed. So there's
But replaced with the
could be, you could have 40 spaces between diamonds if the diamonds are all being removed.
Okay, fair enough.
Okay. Other than that, no, I agree with that.
Do you require diamonds in other sites?
I'm just in the C4 zone. Yeah.
Any other questions? Mhm.
Traffic.
Yeah.
All of our witnesses are still here for the record.
Hi.
All of them are subject to restraint.
All right.
If you can just grab the microphone.
Back in.
The additional 56
it?
cars that we're going to pick up on a Saturday, let's say, or whatever other days that we're going to pick up cars. How are we going to pick up an additional 56 people? I guess I know that
We can't. Can you speak up? Because I can't hear.
I know that we talked about. Can you hear me?
Yes. Yeah, that's good.
I know we talked about
Can you-
people are going to probably want to get gas because they see that the flow of traffic is moving quicker. Is that how we're picking up the additional 56?
Right, it's that, and then vehicles that are traversing along the ring road that'll see the fuel facility as well. Maybe some new Costco members. It's a mix of a lot of different things.
And now the other question is that you said the average gas pumping time once they get to the pump, they put the pump in the car. It's about 3.5 minutes roughly.
Yeah, I think it was just under 4 minutes, right?
Just under 4 minutes.
Mm-hmm.
Do you expect that to decrease because of the extra pumps or increase? Because I'm trying to understand how we're going to maintain that or decrease it without hiring additional gas pumpers.
Right. So if we were to hire additional gas pumpers, we would look at I would imagine we would look at a decrease. But our analysis, we assumed that the fueling service time would be the same in existing to new conditions, and then we just added in additional fuel dispensers.
So your time, you're expecting it to stay about the same 3.5 minutes.
Exactly. Yes.
So you plan on increasing the flow by about 56 cars, but you're pumping this. You're still pumping the same amount of time for each car that comes up.
Right. We're going to be pumping an additional 6 vehicles out every 4 minutes.
So you're going to put 6
roughly.
more vehicles through it.
Right. So it's able to the capacity and the supply will be increased there. Of course.
Did you want to comment on that?
Yeah. Do I need to get into?
For the record, Mr. Tozay.
And so to that point as well, we deal in, I don't want to say worst case scenarios, but not being overly optimistic with the data that we present to you. What we have seen across our portfolio is that, in fact, we do get a slight reduction in those durations from the spacing, from the red light, green light, because whereas before people will be standing there and that's, extending that out. We do see a reduction. We anticipate that, but for the purposes of the data and what's presented, we don't, cherry pick or, go overly optimistic, and then, fail.
Do we know how many attendants are there now on the weekends, or is there anybody from the store here that?
There's not anybody from the warehouse here right now. I don't know, but I can find out. I believe it's 2 or whatever is mandated by New Jersey law.
My experience of it is there's like 6 at the peak hours.
Okay.
1 for each pumping side of an island. So you have 2 per island. You have 3 islands.
Okay, any other questions? Okay, are there questions or comments from the public? Okay, if you can please.
Can I please request a courtesy that the people that are sitting there on the committee use their microphones? We can't hear you here. You're professionals, you're wonderful using your microphones. I could not hear many of the questions that were asked. I request that courtesy of your committee.
Okay. Are there any other questions or comments from the public?
Madam Chair.
Use your microphone.
We want conditions of approval. At what time should we voice those?
Well, after, if we have any other questions or comments. Any other questions or comments from the public? Okay. I believe there's a request from a board member to, if we were to grant approval, to have some discussion about parameters or, I'll say parameters or condition.
I would like a condition placed on Saturday and Sundays during operating hours that someone's there directing traffic. Or an extra attendant there that's handling traffic flow. The sole job is handle traffic flow.
Can we limit that to the peak hour? I mean, have somebody there.
Well, what the peak hour?
What? 11:45 to 12:45 or something like that.
Right, the Saturday peak was 11:45 to 12:45.
And we don't.
Find out, we can identify what the Sunday peak is.
So then I would say from.
Been there on a Saturday or Sunday?
I would say at least 10. Having somebody, you're not gonna get somebody coming for an hour.
Have you been there on a Saturday or Sunday with gas? It's not just an hour.
Yeah, I'd propose 10 to 4.
Yeah, I agree.
6 hours.
Is that a stipulation that we can put regarding employees? Because
we can require the applicant to comply with
A condition of approval.
Condition of
Sure.
approval.
Okay. I'm only thinking again, like, what's our role in terms of enforcement? That's the only part that I'm thinking about. But are there other board members who have comments about that request? I believe Saturday and Sunday 10 to 4 is the request.
Yep.
I wouldn't.
I'm
need
in
to-
favor
I wouldn't
of that
need to
request.
support it, though. I wouldn't.
We would like to clarify that that attendant would also be permitted to pump gas. You
Oh.
don't have to just stand there, because that, I think, we do have the red light, green light system.
Yeah, you testified that you would have people directing people, and you'd have the red light, green light. I don't need anything more than that testimony.
Other board
personally.
members?
That's
does
not
anyone
what
else
I'm
need-
saying. So I'm strictly there to direct traffic, not pump gas.
Are there any other board members that need that for an approval?
I believe that
We do need someone to direct traffic there, because I've been there many times on a Saturday and a Sunday, and it's very difficult to navigate through that part of the town. Sorry, can you hear me? It's very difficult to navigate through that part of the parking lot when there's an overabundance of traffic there, okay? And you have pedestrians that are walking around, you have people with these big shopping carts, you have people with bigger carts when they have bigger things that they buy, and they're navigating to their vehicles at the same time as cars are navigating through, trying to get through the parking lot, exiting and entering, not only for the gas but for the club itself. And you have to understand that that roadway that comes into the parking lot of Costco from the back is not only for Costco. People use that entrance for the entire shopping area there. There's other stores there, there's other facilities there, and we have to take all this into consideration, because the only traffic is not going to be just for gas. There's other traffic that comes through there. That's why I believe we need some sort of navigation for traffic, and I agree that we do need someone there Saturday and Sundays, which is the biggest and peak hours of the traffic for the facility.
Okay, so
I
that's
agree. I think we need a mechanism in place to direct traffic on those 2 days. We're trying to. Oh,
no, go ahead. Go ahead.
We're trying to balance the interests of you expanding your business and the Ocean residents, and protecting them and the flow of traffic and the people in the parking lot. And I think that's a fair compromise.
Okay, Mr. Marmore, before you chime in, so there are 8 of us. I just want to make sure I'm only hearing from 3 that they would require this for their vote for approval. Are there any others that would require this? Because 3 is not a majority of the...
Well, you would need 5 votes.
You need 5
of
affirmative
7.
votes.
Of 7.
Who's the alternate here?
I'm the alternate.
So, he's an alternate. You won't get to vote. So it's of the other 7 people.
Is there anyone else who would require that as a condition for their vote for approval?
I agree with Mr. Fuller.
Okay.
And I think we're here to alleviate the traffic, and let's give it a chance to work maybe.
If it doesn't work, though, you can't go and amend it later. And I would tell, I get the whole automated part, but anybody that's been to the supermarket and try to use the automated checkout and think that that's quicker than having a person there, I'm sorry, it just does.
You know,
I'm in a business that where we've eliminated all staff and where it's automated, and it just doesn't work. You got to have some human.
It sounds like the problem you're describing, though, is different than what Mr. DeLomo is describing. So then we're going to have somebody in by the pumps, but then also out in the street where the turns are.
Quite
I think
frankly,
it's kind of.
Costco did that about 2 years ago, and it didn't work. So they
What did they
stopped
do?
doing it. They had people out there directing traffic. They were actually directing people around to the southern end through the drive aisle between the parking spaces to have them come back around, and having the people there directing traffic didn't work, so they stopped doing it.
Was that to park to go into the store or to the gas
No, that was
station?
for the
That was
gas
the
station.
I think it was during COVID.
It might have been, I'm not
During
sure.
COVID.
Okay.
What can the store propose?
So what I would respectfully is give us a chance. The improvements we're proposing, plus the red light, green light. If one gas attendant would be asked to go out and direct traffic if it was necessary. Let's just have one dedicated person standing there the entire time and doing all the improvements. I just think it's anticipating failure, and I just don't think that's fair at the moment. We're doing a lot to improve it. I respectfully ask that we be given a chance to show that it would work.
Okay, so based upon what I'm hearing from board members, there are not enough to support that as a condition.
Can I make a suggestion?
Yes.
Mr. Steinberg, let me know if this is something that you could figure out. When it comes to parking in certain situations, we bank parking, right? We say we'll start with this, and if there's a need that's demonstrated in the future, we'll go to that. Is there something we can do where we visit this?
That if the traffic situation is not alleviated by all the improvements, that they would then provide for some sort of a traffic director.
What is the definition of alleviated? And that's, I think goes to the next thing is I do this, and I put it this way too, is I'm dealing with a lot of councils, if it's feasible. Well, there's a lot of things that are feasible with enough money, so having a clear definition of what is successful, I think, is
I would think that there'd be no spillage into the roadways.
Correct.
That's
I think you would have to have some sort of municipal authority make a determination that Costco has to have people out there directing traffic. And I would think that would be the police department.
Yeah, can we ask maybe traffic safety after a certain number of months, after these improvements are made,
I don't know if traffic safety is that what's the main. I don't know if they'll go on private property to make that decision.
What I would offer is that
it'd be Roller Road, if there's an impact on Roller Road, perhaps something like that.
Well, could we just use local police to help direct traffic ingress points?
I don't know.
Have local law enforcement just on the ingress side at least. Maybe not in the islands, but at least on the ingress side.
That's
maybe during those peak hours.
That's expensive, and I'm not convinced it's going to be needed. I'm just trying to help the folks that have a concern know that this will be somehow revisited, just checked on, if there's a creative way we can do it.
And if we're backing up cars onto the ring road, then I think traffic enforcement would have a legitimate basis to require Costco to do something.
But that happens now.
Yeah, it's already
No, I
happening.
know it happens.
There's cars that are backed up on Ring Road now, all the time.
No, I understand it. There's not much we can do about it.
So, Mr. Steinberg, can you?
Well, there is something we can do about it. We can deny the application, and
And then you have a situation you have now.
yeah, but it's so. But
if I may, I think to that point is, we have a condition now which everybody says is a problem. What we are proposing, we absolutely believe will be an improvement. A denial will keep the condition that everybody already agrees is an issue. And so, I would submit that. The other thing that I will say is, we are willing to, after 6 months, I can go back and see what we generally have done. We will provide the board with a traffic study after the fact, after these improvements have been made, to be able to quantify these things that we have told you right now, and again to see that improvement.
I would like to suggest another condition then that's immediate, because we are adding more cars and we are adding more pumps, and the realistic possibility of traffic building on the street and backing up on the road is inevitable. So I would like to have you hire more attendants and have them on at all times. You have 3 extra pumps, that's 6 sides. And if you don't have more attendants on, as Mr. DeLoma was suggesting, it's not going to improve the speed that you get the cars through. You should have at a minimum 3 extra attendants on and 6 at peak hours.
you can't say that without knowing what the number is right now.
Yeah. So, Mr. Steinberg, I guess can we have a condition where a report will be provided 6 months after completion for review? But then again, I don't.
So let's think it forward.
Yes.
If we approve the application and have a condition that 6 months after this is fully operational, 6 months after this is fully operational, the applicant is required to provide a traffic study, and if there is spillage into the ring road, I guess that's the criteria, isn't it? Spillage into the ring road, that the applicant will be obligated to either hire more employees or make a plan acceptable to the board for traffic direction.
I respectfully disagree. If you're adding more pumps and more cars are coming through, you are definitely going to have more traffic through. You need more people. I don't want to report 6 months down the line. That's a problem.
Are there any other board members that would require that for a condition of approval?
Yes, I would require additional gas attendants to help the flow of traffic.
Are there 3 other board members that would require that for a condition of approval?
I would if my vote counts.
Well, even if you were 1, we still would need 2 more. Okay.
I would like the condition of maybe the 6-month study added to it. Yeah.
Are there 4 other board members that would require the 6-month study as a condition of approval?
Yes, I'm one.
That's 2.
I do not want
Are there
that.
3 others?
I think that'll help.
Well, you're not going to get. You're going to get
That's
something.
3. Are there 2 others?
Yes.
That's 4. Is there 1 other board member?
Please raise your hand.
No, I want attendance now.
Well, you're not going to get attendance.
We're talking about the 6-month study right now. We're voting on the 6-month study.
Is there 1 other board member that would require the 6-month study for a condition of his or her approval? Okay, so now we are back at the variances for
Holding out. I want
the D3, the C4, basically the bulk variances and the waivers.
I think you got to vote on first the D3 because we know we need 5 affirmative votes.
Okay.
So I would offer that first if someone wants to offer a positive resolution. They're willing to provide a condition though. Okay. I know what Ms. Littman wants, but they're willing to provide a condition that I hear that after this becomes operational, they'll provide us with a detailed traffic study, and if there is spillage into the ring road, even after all these improvements, they will agree to alleviate it in some manner acceptable to the board, either by directing traffic or more employees or whatever is required. But they want to give this, what I'm hearing is that they want to give this new plan a shot because they feel that it will alleviate the current problems. That's what I'm hearing. But they're willing to accept the condition that they will provide us a report 6 months after fully operational. And if there's a spillage problem, they'll come back to the board to provide some sort of mitigation.
I have a question. If you provide the 6-month report after 6 months and we find that there's spillage on the ring road, what happens after that?
They would have to
Either hire more employees or you said provide a new plan.
Provide some sort of remediation to your
Remediation.
satisfaction.
If they
But
don't-
the question is, does then the approval go away if they don't?
Well, no, but then they're in violation of their approval, they get cited, and they go to court, and they get fined, what is it, $1,500 a day?
I mean, we
So,
do have
yeah.
some.
So I guess the first is the
And then there's
D3.
no mechanism in place to enforce it, and you're a year down the
You
road
don't-
before
that's not
anything
true.
is done.
Lisa, you don't know that what you're suggesting is actually gonna work. That's the problem.
Well,
You could suggest it, and then it doesn't work, and then what are you gonna do?
well, she's suggesting that you put on an additional employee or
I
two.
know.
Now that will definitely help alleviate the
Because
traffic
if you have
pattern.
one employee that's handling 3 pumps as opposed to one employee that's handling 2 pumps, that may not be any more efficient.
One employee
If
can
you bring
handle
another
3 pumps
employee
of
in.
gasoline.
The efficiency may be exactly the same, because there's 2 or 3 minutes when the employee is standing there watching the gas go into the car. And when I'm there, I see that all the time.
There's
They're
also
putting-
there's
they're
also
putting-
times where the employee is pumping gas and they're busy running a credit card and the other gas pump is finished and could be another 30 seconds, 45 seconds before they get to that car, which will also add time.
I don't think we've heard testimony from the traffic engineer or anyone else that any of that would or would not happen.
I know, that's the point I'm making. To have a condition when you don't know if that condition's gonna work.
Yeah, sometimes that happens to me, sometimes
Whereas-
it doesn't, but no professional stood up today and said that by adding an attendant would decrease the
Yeah.
time.
If you have a condition that says 6 months from now you do a study and tell us whether it's working or not. And if it's not working, you have to do something to correct it. Then you've got a mechanism to do it. But until you know whether it's going to work or not, it's putting a condition in that may or may not help the situation. It doesn't make any sense to me.
If you're waiting in line and you're sitting there and it's so illogical, and there's 2 people on and everyone else is waiting to be helped, how could an additional attendant not speed up the flow of traffic?
Because the mechanism for the time is how fast the gas goes into the tank.
Yeah. But
It's
there's
not what the attendants
3
are doing.
additional tanks and 2 attendants. I mean, we're just spinning a hamster wheel
It's going to get 50% more cars through the site than go through now per time. That's the whole purpose of them doing this.
And I think
An
that
additional person on.
I don't think it's going to work. I'll be quite frank with you. I don't think it's going to work.
Mr. Matlack, can you share what you were going to say?
Yeah, I was going to say that the testimony was that the service time was about 4 minutes.
Right.
Mm-hmm.
And I think that takes into account what you were talking about, Mr. DeLomo, of people who get their gas filled and then they have to sit there maybe for another 30 seconds to get their credit card receipt. Because we've all been to the gas station, it doesn't actually take 4 minutes to fill your tank. It takes 4 minutes from when you pull up to when you leave. The actual gas flow is not taking 4 minutes.
Mm-hmm.
So that's where you know, that extra time is accounted for.
You're right, and
You're correct, and I believe that falls back on training the employees to move quicker, okay, and get the flow of traffic going much faster.
But we would know that after 6 months of full operational, whether or not, and we're not worried about, it's not our domain that the members are getting serviced efficiently. Our domain is that we don't have spillage on Roller Road and a traffic hazard.
But that also falls on making sure that the employees are servicing the customers efficiently, because if they don't, then the traffic's going to spill over onto Roller Road.
But our concern is the traffic on Roller Road, not that the member's going to wait 12 minutes until he gets his gas, because then he's going to go someplace else. That's not what the zoning
No
says.
one's leaving Costco's line to go get gas somewhere else. Okay, so, but I've heard different condition for this, condition for this, condition for this, but I didn't hear majority say that they needed it for a positive vote. So I would like to offer for approval for the D3 variance. Is there a second?
I'll say that.
I'll second.
Okay.
Someone spoke up. I heard it down here.
And
This
Claire,
is
if
without
we can,
any conditions.
without any conditions. Claire, if you can please call the roll.
Well, before we vote, if they're offering the study,
Yeah,
why wouldn't we
why
just
not
take
take
the
it?
study?
Right, yeah.
The
You got
folks
nothing
that
to
don't,
lose.
I don't necessarily need it,
Right.
but they're offering it, and it will help some of our board members feel a little more comfortable voting for it. That's why I would vote for it.
the 6
For
months.
the
study.
6
Yeah.
months.
Condition,
So the
Yeah.
the
D3
condition,
for the
if you would
study.
amend your
I will amend it, the D3 with the,
with the condition that the applicant, after full operation, I'll reword it, will provide a detailed traffic study on, and if there is spillage onto the ring road, which is Roller Road, that area?
And I don't know if we can
It's two
ask for
different
this,
words.
but I'd
Two
like to
different
see a
words.
report from the police
We'll do
department.
both. Well, we can always
That-
ask our police.
Yeah, because I just don't want to see an independent consultant that comes out there on Wednesday and say there's no. I'd like to see the police department
No,
go up.
we're talking about fully operational during peak hours, and if there's spillage onto the ring road or Roller Road, then the applicant is obligated to come back to the board and present some remediation to our satisfaction. And if he can't remediate it to our satisfaction, then he's in violation of his approval.
okay, I will amend it to Mr. Steinberg's language. Is there a second to that?
I'll second
it.
One more question before we move forward. Once they come back and let's say that they have to fix the problem, how does that get enforced?
It gets enforced as any other approval, and if they don't, they're in violation of their zoning, and they can be fined.
Yeah.
Okay,
They
thank
have
you.
To, they have to come back with a plan to fix it if it's not working. Whatever that plan is, we would find out.
I would think that if it's not working, they would want to.
I would imagine that after 6 months, the traffic report will be submitted to me, and then I would submit a report
Yeah.
to Colleen,
Yeah.
and then that would trigger the need to either everything is working fine or there's a need to come back to the board.
And we would also ask our police department to make a report at that time also.
Okay.
And I would say if you have to come back to the board, you're going to need more than just a few attendants. I can assure you that the restrictions will be well above that if there's traffic backed up on that ring road. So make sure your client's aware of that.
Costco's interest is having a functional site.
But it's not right now.
I understand, but that's why we're here.
Yeah. Well, you're here for some other things, but that's.
We were asked to combine it all as one application, but we were asked to address the queuing backup, a couple of months ago, and asked to combine it all in one application. But clearly, we're here to solve the problem that the township has.
No, I get it. It's just like I've told some other people at the pools, get a jackhammer if it doesn't work.
Okay, so I do amend it to Mr. Steinberg's language. Was I heard a second? Who second?
And that'd be
Okay.
3, and that would be.
With the conditions that
Do we need
you,
a vote on that, or you need 5? Go ahead.
if you can call the roll.
Call the entire board except the alternate. Sorry.
I'd like
Yes.
first all, at some point I make it.
Yes, with the conditions.
Yes, in protest, and I want to point out, please, that the applicant said on the record that he would accept it if a condition was that he would hire attendants if we made him.
I would correct. I would say if that becomes a condition of approval, we can address that then.
Actually, he did budget. His answer. At that time.
Yes.
That's what he said.
Yes.
Thank you.
Chairwoman Beal?
Yes. Okay, I will offer for the C4 variances.
Second.
What, D4?
No,
I thought
C2.
Oh, I'm sorry, C2.
C1 and 2.
C1 and 2.
C1 and 2.
I apologize. C1 and 2.
Christine presented it both ways.
Yeah.
Fuller?
Yes.
Yes.
Is this the final site plan?
Yes.
Yes.
The waivers. Yes. And then we need to, I'll also for the waivers.
Well, the site plan and the waivers.
Okay.
Now I'm looking at, this was submitted on August 6th.
Yeah, that's the final.
This is the final one?
Yes.
This is the one we're gonna vote on?
Yes.
This is the one that's everybody's packets.
Correct.
I get to take it home?
That has the phasing plan on it, and we're.
Let's see. Is it labeled as phasing plan?
Overall site plan.
Overall site plan layout. Is there a phasing plan?
Yeah,
in
there's
that?
it's phasing on there.
Okay, it's
We
phasing.
are asking for approval of the phasing plan as well.
Well, which is in here.
Yes.
So we'd approve the entire site plan as a package, together with any required waivers, which is, I think, the lighting and the, what other small things? And under the, and the spillage. They're design waivers.
Yeah.
Okay.
Okay, is there a second?
I'll second.
I did.
I can build a Costco.
With the conditions. For the waivers.
Site plan with waivers.
Waivers.
Fuller?
Yes.
DeLomo?
Yes.
Littman?
Yes.
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 Chairwoman Beal?
Yes. Okay, and I believe that was all of them. I don't have any other notes.
That's enough? Yes.
Okay. Thank you.
Thank you for your time.
Okay, and a motion to adjourn.
Motion to adjourn.